Hey, it's Ricky Carmichael, and you're watching the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
Welcome back to another Vital MX MotoXpod show presented by Racetech and Boyesen. We're coming off what I thought was going to be an exciting race in Colorado, and I actually thought in the end, Scotty, it really was an exciting race. I think a lot of people were like, oh, this is starting to get boring, but there's a lot of good stuff going on in the back behind the leaders. We're heading into High Point this weekend in Pennsylvania. I know this top spot on the podium seems like it's pretty predictable, but again, there's a lot of stuff going on that's exciting in the background. This last weekend, man, we had Tyler Masterpool and AP coming from the back. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of good racing still going on, so hopefully everybody's still excited about it. We're going to get to all that pretty shortly, but first up, my co-host, working the cameras on the YouTube chat, Scotty Thompson. What's going on, Scotty?
Oh, not much. Glad to have the chat back this week. Last time it was no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no Wi-Fi last week. We have yesterday afternoon we had a storm come through with hail and the lights were flickering. I was doing an interview and the lights were flickering. I was like, oh boy. And apparently in about an hour and a half, we have another one coming through. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we don't lose Wi-Fi tonight. Hopefully we don't lose power tonight. But
yeah, I'm glad to be here. Yeah. Glad to talk about what's been going on. It's, yeah, like you said, it's there's a lot going on and not a lot going on in the MX series so far. So
there's a lot going on. It's just some of it we don't get to see. You really have to watch the ticker and see what people are doing. But there's still some good racing going on. And of course, we got the MXGPs, which is just up and down and a lot of different things going on. We're going to talk about that in a little bit in the Luxon MXGP recap. But also on the line with us from Vital MX, my buddy Michael Lindsay. What's up, ML?
Well, seeing all the problems you have in BFE, Texas, I mean, I could get you a generator to keep running the show, but I don't know how somebody's Wi-Fi goes out so much. I have it happen like once every 3 years. I think it's happened 10 times in the time span you've worked for us.
Yeah, I don't know if in Southern California, like, they have as much. Every week there's another bore crew along the highway putting in some other utility. So there's always people digging. And I used to doing what I used to do for the city.
Why? Who's moving out there? Dude, I thought your town was small.
No, everybody from where you're at moving here.
Yeah, everybody from California is moving out here.
Well, clearly, as we've proven with our still going up housing prices and our low inventory, people just keep showing up. Whoever's leaving is getting replaced pretty freaking quick here. So, I don't know. Traffic gets worse. It isn't getting any better. I call BS that everybody's leaving this state. It has not happened in a big enough drove yet.
Well, I know working for the city a year or so ago, like every week there was another crew coming in and, there's 4, 5, 6 different internet companies and they're all burying fiber optic. And then there's water lines and the power lines are going in the ground and there's so much crap in the ground that every time they bore, they hit something.
Yeah. And plus we've had a storm like at least once, like the last 5 out of the last 7 days.
So, I mean, the poles are going down too. The power poles are going down at times for the aerial stuff, but a lot of it's been construction companies hitting the fiber optic and then you're a day as they repair it. It takes.
Well, Dark does live kind of out here in the boonies. I live in this.
I really don't though. I'm literally.
Yeah, you do.
I am 200, 300 feet from the highway, and I'm...
Your neighbor to the left of you has like 17 chickens, all right?
Dude, that's allowed in the city. They're like, people have chickens in their houses, like in nice air. And look, my buddy lives in like an HOA, and he has chickens. Dude, but the city is not only a quarter mile, not even.
The city of...
Gladewater and White Oak, both ways.
Yeah, those are traffic stop cities.
Like 6,000 people in White Oak.
Yeah.
Or 7,000. So,
well, I live in a town with like 150,000.
Well, okay, so Longview is 100-something thousand, and that's 2 miles down the road.
Yeah,
I'm not that far out in the.
You're right. The storms are definitely the culprit for a lot of the.
Yeah, I think in construction. But anyway, this is the Boyesen Open Discussion segment, and Boyesen is very excited to spotlight their Factory Racing's Rider Support Program, which is a comprehensive support system for motocross and off-road riders. The program offers participants exclusive access to Boyesen's products, yearly discounts, and the potential to become one of their new product development test riders. So join the community of Boyesen Factory Flyers by visiting boyesen.com and applying today. Yeah, ML, you and Lewis touched on the race quite a bit in the post-race show, but there is a lot of good stuff going on in the background. Like, you were there. How was it being there and being able to watch the battles that you chose to watch?
It was still pretty, I don't know, watching ties pack through the 450 was pretty good. 250s was just a little bit of straight chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I felt like it was pretty mellow for
Really?
the most part. Yeah, I found myself wandering a little bit just looking at the track.
Yeah, because, I mean, we had Joe Shimoda coming through the pack. I mean, I feel like there's still battles going on.
The problem is when Joe or RJ comes through the pack, I just go, I'll see how many positions they make because I've seen it too many times between those two. It's not it's cool to watch, but at the same time, it's too predictable. They do it too often.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, though, it's something to watch. Like, there's still some racing going on. It's not like Jet and Hunter are the only guys on the track and they're winning, and it's like, all right, well, everybody else behind them is just following. I mean, there's still some racing going on. I'm trying to be positive here, ML. I mean, Scotty, you watched the race. Did you find anything exciting, or were you kind of zoning out because it wasn't as exciting as you wanted it to be?
I mean, I guess thank God for Ty Masterpool, I guess.
And AP, too.
No,
They
AP
were both like, I mean, AP started, I think, the first lap of Moto 1, one spot in front of him, and they both finished one spot in front of each other, as I recall. So they all went through like 20 riders.
Yeah.
The two guys together.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I guess at the same time, it's impressive. You got to just like take respect for what's happened so far. And just like, it is what it is. It's going to get better. Roxon's coming back this weekend.
Yeah.
That should
It's going to get better? Please enlighten me on how it's going to get better.
Oh, I meant like, well, there's more people coming back. Chase will be back.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't see the positive of us getting a battle with Jet yet, but yes, there is people coming back.
Yeah.
We had Anderson's first day back on the bike was today, so I'm going to guess probably Redbud for him.
Right. And Barsha got hurt again, correct?
Yeah, he re-broke his collarbone plate. I think he said that he woke up and it was just like that, but I also heard something different from somebody near him.
Yeah,
nothing crazy, but yes, he did break it training somehow, some way.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen. You just your plate just comes loose or breaks in the middle of the night.
I had a wild dream last night, man.
I mean,
yeah, so I think Barsha will see at some point in the next couple rounds, somewhere between a Redbud and Millville-ish area in there. We have some 250s coming back. Seth Hamaker's coming back at Redbud. Austin Faulkner's goal is Millville. Like I said, I think we'll see Anderson back. I saw him post day and somebody said something about racing a High Point this week, but like I said, today was first day back on the bike. I would guess more than likely Redbud.
Yeah.
Can't imagine racing with literally one day on the bike. Because I also don't know with the neck, like I don't know how much training has been allowed to do. It's one thing if you can do a lot off the bike, but I don't know how much that's been just sit and don't move.
Sure.
Not to jump too far out of the kind of topic that we're on, but
you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyways. ML, I kind of
not to, but let's do it.
Yeah,
I'll bring you right back because I was actually have a topic on that same.
Then go ahead.
Yeah,
sure? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Who the hell's running?
What were we talking about?
Yeah, I guess I am now, ML. It's my show. Welcome to my show, guys.
Oh, you're the captain. You're the captain.
Oh boy, here we go. I was just going to say, yeah, very much like what Hamaker said in the interview that we posted on Vital, that he said, might as well take that extra race off because then there's a break after that. So it gives you actually 2 more weeks. So for Jason, that seems like that would make more sense. That was really the only point I was going to make is
we have posted or we are posting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's tomorrow. I was going to do that today, but we changed.
You're the one in charge of publishing it. Do you hit publish yet?
No, we changed the schedule. That's right, because we moved the Ted Parks one. Everything got changed around. Okay, it'll be up tomorrow. Yeah, guys, take a look out tomorrow at Vital MX for a
extra.
Yeah, Seth Hamaker interview that was done a couple of days ago. Anyway, all right, go ahead, Scotty. Change the subject.
All right, yeah. Now that you messed everything up. Yeah. No, Emil, I wanted to ask a question for both of you guys, really. So what would you think? What do you think is more impressive so far? Like when you think of like the Stu years and so the Tomac did it for a little bit, where they were beating everybody by like a minute, and it was like just the raw speed. And like that was how we like goaded them. Basically, it was because of they were doing that kind of stuff, and it resulted a lot of times in injury or issues that they'd have. It happened to Stu a lot that year that Tomac was beating everybody. He'd only made it through 2 rounds, and then he hurt his shoulder at Thunder Valley. What's more impressive, the fact that Jet can just go 10, 15 seconds ahead and then just chill there and not throw it away? Or would we be saying more if he was just smoking everybody by a minute?
That's a tough one. I was talking to a friend that's not as familiar with moto until recently, and I had to explain to them what Eli Tomac did in, 2015 when he beat Dungey by a minute and a half at Hangtown?
Yeah.
I mean, that is internal. That is way more impressive to me because the field was more stacked. Not to say what Jet is doing right now is amazing, leading every lap, pole position. Like, he's setting his own unique record at the moment with the opening rounds. I think he's on the podium. I believe he's got to be the only person that's led, every lap of the opening 6 motos, plus the pole position. So that is unique in itself. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very depleted field. If I weigh him against each other, yes, it's impressive. But what Eli did, his opening rounds was more impressive from a pure domination factor. And then, of course, if we're comparing Stu has a perfect season like Ricky, which is we'll wait to see if Jet gets there. It's possible. I mean, it's on the cards right now. He's still perfect. But those two stand well above. I think we have to wait to see how the season turns out. I think the ultimate, like I said, Eli's run didn't last that long, but it was insane when he did it.
Yeah.
So I think that's hard. Really, at this point, can Jet match the Stu one? Which then again, at the end, some people want to complain about the depth. Certain people will come back. If this happens all the way through Ironman, no matter how you shake it, it's still insane. So you'll be able to sit there and argue all day. I think no matter what, anybody will pick Ricky's because Ricky has 2 perfect seasons plus an undefeated. I think a lot of people forget that Ricky also has an undefeated season.
Yeah.
So he has 3 seasons he never lost an overall, 2 where he never lost a moto. The undefeated, I think he lost 2 motos. If I remember right, one's at Southwick after he goes down in the first corner. Gets back to like second or third or something like that.
I'm really most impressed though with just Jet's ability to seems like he stays calm and he hasn't been pressured yet, and we don't know what that's going to look like when he does get pressured, but it seems so effortless at such a young age. It's not like he's riding, when we would watch Stu do it or Ricky, sometimes it'd be like, man, they're on the ragged edge, and it never looks like Jet's on the ragged edge.
I know I'd
like to see that.
He's already doing what we've been basically screaming at Chase for the last 2 seasons to do, and I mean, you can make the argument with the Stu thing. I mean, that was a pretty depleted field too. His only competition was Alessi.
No, I mean, Shorty. There was still a lot more guys that had years and length of experience. There was more factor guys. Yeah, Stu's 08 season wasn't insane, but he still had Shorty, Ferry, GL did not. What was GL that year? Because GL won the title.
When Stewart got hurt.
The year before. No, he won it the year before. Yeah, when he got hurt. I think that's when GL started to have his eye problems.
Yep.
But and then your point, the ragged edge. You got to think when you think of Ricky riding the ragged edge, it's usually because the seasons where Stu was chasing him, which is
It's true.
If Chase, we'll see when Chase comes back how his condition is after mono for a couple rounds. I find it very hard to believe that when Chase comes back, that Jet doesn't lose a moto to him at some point. But it's like you're saying, Jet is insane on a 450 because the dude, he doesn't really brake or accelerate. He's just almost like one constant speed. He reminds me, I saw a few people like tagging like, oh, who does he remind you the most? And some people were talking about like way back, and it's hard because I've only seen some videos of him racing, but like talking about Bale and Bailey and guys that are known for really perfect technique. To me, he in one sense reminds me a lot of Porcel because Porcel did not accelerate. He never looked fast. Even Porcel's flyer laps, when he would go out and throw down on the last lap of qualifying a second lap faster lap time than anybody, you almost did. They would come across and say, and you'd be like, well, I watched him half that lap and he didn't even look like he was trying. And that's kind of what some of Jet's laps look like. You're just boggled that the lap time is that low. Close to the lap, and you're like, I would never have guessed he was on a heater.
Yeah, you kind of wonder, like, well, when's he going to put a heater in? And you go, oh, he already has.
I just want to see, like, I want to see AP or, Roxon's coming back this weekend. I just want to see one of those guys get in front of him for, like, make him, like, do something. Like, just, like,
make it difficult,
for, like, at least, even if it's a lap and a half, man, like, that's what's impressed me is, like, even that one time where he didn't get the almost the best jump was that round in Hangtown. And then he was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to ride this.
Dylan,
Yeah, I'm just going to ride this wall and then bye guys, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see him have to do more of that.
I want to tell you guys about Racetech, which is the world's largest aftermarket motorcycle suspension modification company with over 35 years of providing factory-level suspension to everyday riders. Racetech's gold valves provide a plush feel with drastically improved bottoming resistance and increased traction. All Racetech products are 100% guaranteed and made in the USA. So visit racetech.com today, find your local dealer and service center, and get your stuff serviced. Get some gold valves in there. Yes. What are you looking at me? Funny?
Nothing. Do your thing.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'm doing the best I can, Scotty. English is my second language. Racetech.com.
What's your first?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Hey, ML, I wanted to bring up this topic. You're going to get off here before Garrett Marchbanks comes on. Oh, by the way, tonight, Garrett Marchbanks, Alex Martin, Vann Martin. Those are our guests tonight. Doing a terrible job with the hosting gig. Maybe you should host for a little while.
Yeah,
Scotty.
it sounds like I got to take over.
Maybe we'll try that. We'll try that after High Point. The week after High Point.
You want me to do the reads?
You can do the whole show the week after High Point.
Like switch chairs and everything?
You can have the whole show.
We're gonna
whole show, Scotty.
We're gonna pod swap.
The whole show.
Okay.
Okay. So what were we talking about?
You and I were talking about the schedules of the podcast that we're doing and the upcoming interviews and whatnot. I want to get your thoughts on this because I got tagged in a post when we did the Tyler Masterpool interview the other day. You put the audio up on YouTube and I hadn't got the written yet. And somebody tweeted like, I wish these things were written. I wish they would, transcribe these, which we do. And I was kind of wondering like how you like to ingest your media and what you see from the stats, right? Because we do usually put audio up of everything that all the interviews I transcribe. Like, what do you see people liking the most? What do you like, and what's the best way to do this?
The ultimate answer is, excuse me, everything needs to be a mix because there is people that like everything. With podcasts, of course, it's tougher to get. We're just going off downloads. You don't get as much feedback. You might get some like DMs or tweets, but you don't directly have like a comment section related to it. So sometimes you don't get as much direct feedback on those features. Of course, on anything YouTube video platform, we can see a lot of feedback in the comment section. And then on site, we have the comment section for written. Yes, there is always people clamoring for more written, and I understand it. I still do like to read personally when I can. It is typically for a short form interview. You can digest a written interview pretty quick if you scan it. But at the same time, sadly, written gets some of the least views of anything. Written only features. You're pretty much relying off your own social media and the website's pull to get people to read them. And social media has especially changed a lot from when I first started Vital 8-9 years ago, when everything we would publish, if we pushed it out on Facebook and Instagram, you would reach the vast majority of your viewers. They would come in, read it. Now it's like playing a game with the algorithm to get that content out in front of people. But at the same time, I get it. People like Rin, like last year, RaceRx tried to switch the observation column that Steve does, and that's one of the few written features I search out for every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. They said, hey, the views were really low on this thing, so we tried to change it, and they got a massive amount of backlash. Whatever few of us that left read it must have freaked out because they end up switching the format and trying to keep it more like it is. Yes, video ultimately will reach the widest audience, primarily because we can run it through YouTube, and that platform reaches an audience size and an audience type that normally most core media websites can't reach. As much as this bums me to say, I mean, with Vital, we're neck and neck for biggest media outlet out there kind of thing, like us and RacerX. But there are still people I run into, real basic fans that don't know what Vital is as a brand, but sometimes they recognize me. They're like, oh yeah, I watch your stuff on YouTube occasionally. I'm like, oh, you go to Vital, and they kind of look at me a little lost. I'm like, man, we reach a different audience there that doesn't follow the core media. And that's what, to give a side example, that's what I always tell people about, like, Deegan's audience. Deegan's audience is very unique because he has a core audience and he has this huge influx of people from YouTube. Your regular Joe Blow, because YouTube is such a giant. Think of it as another Google. Think of it as almost bigger than a Google. It's its own Google search engine. And people that search terms on that don't search term stuff on Google. There isn't that much crossover when you're looking for a piece of content. So YouTube is our most important these days, which sucks because I know more people would like to see more written. We weigh it all based on the piece of content. We sometimes will run everything across YouTube, podcast platform, and written. Sometimes, most of the time, we try to figure out what makes the most sense on each one. Like what we're doing here, this would be insane to transcribe. I had somebody commenting about an interview with Adam Bailey the other day, going, "Hey, where's the transcription for this?" I'm like, "Dude, it's an hour and a half podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not transcribing this. This is going to take 4 or 5 hours for a very minimal amount of reading." And then there's certain features, especially I think evergreen. Timeliness features suck to do written because you get so little out of them lifespan wise, but features that are evergreen, that are about a topic or a person in a way that can be read a year from now are interesting. Those are really good to do written because they're going to keep popping up on Google searches. People are going to look for them on our site. People are going to mention it because it's going to be more of a timeless feature. And somebody will mention to their friend that it was a great read and they'll go find it.
Yeah. What interests me is, like, I don't know, Scotty, first of all, how do you like to ingest your, like, if you had the choice between a written feature and the same feature in podcast form, like, how would you normally choose to go about it?
Yeah, I'm not reading it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to where I'm pretty much a lot of podcasts, right? And like some of the other things I subscribe to, there might be 5, 6, 7 podcasts a week on that feed. And I'm always looking, oh, there's a new one. And I'll go watch it, or I'll listen to it, and I'll listen to it, and I'll listen to it. And like ML was telling me today, like, you know, some of these with us, if we post too many, they get buried and then people maybe get overwhelmed. And I hadn't really thought about it like that because I like it that way. I like having plenty and I just can scroll through, but maybe that's not the best algorithm, the best way to do it. So stuff I'm still learning, and it's interesting because to me, I'm like, the more the better. But
and
clearly not the case.
That's a tough one with us right now, with us having a bigger staff than we've ever had. We're producing, to give a user an example, compared to 3 years ago, it was a fairly full staff, but it was before I came back to run it kind of under the way they wanted to do the features at the time. I come back the first year I'm back, and at one point we had a much lower staff size. We produced more than twice as much original content. And then this year we've upped that. Now with a bigger staff under the way I kind of wanted to do things, we're up another 50% or 60% over that as well. So, I mean, we're doing 2.5 times the amount of original content we were 2 years ago. At one end you would think, oh, more content the better. You can bury stuff. People have unique reading habits. Some people are willing to scroll and see everything you've done. Some people are only willing to look at the last couple things you've done, and you can easily bury items. So you do have to be selective sometimes. Just because a bunch of stuff is ready to publish, you have to kind of plan out, you know, what's current, what needs to be done now, what can be pushed to this day, what makes the most sense with what's following it. So sometimes you have to sit down and plan a little bit more and try to put the content out in a way that's digestible. Because if we flood too much content, even if it's good, I can go back and see for that week, like, okay, on average, we did worse pretty much on everything by a little bit. We did too much at once, where you can actually publish a little less the next week with quality and see higher views per feature, and really at the end of the day hit almost the exact same overall number.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough balance because at the end of the day, like we just had an example in the chat 5 minutes ago where someone was like, does Lewis have his own podcast? You know, like we got that guy because of whatever you've done or something, you've captured him in one way, or he came organically. A listener came some way, but you know, that could also probably happen to somebody listening to Lewis. It's like, oh, that Dark Side guy has his own show. Like, so it's like, you definitely like cross brand each other through it, but you do have to find that, like you just said, like the numbers fluctuate with too much or too little of stuff. So it's definitely a balance.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, which I guess I shouldn't even say that, right? If you heard me say it, you're listening. Hit us up at MotoXpodShow@gmail.com, because I'd like to hear what you guys like, the way you digest your media, what you'd like more of, and maybe I can adjust. Maybe I need to adjust some things.
The tough one is, no matter what the perfect answer is, there is actually no perfect answer.
Yeah.
What we do. What was interesting is just with total content amount going up at the beginning of the year, me and Lewis were discussing this. We were getting more comments than ever for written content, but what was funny is we were publishing the most written content we ever had in 2 or 3 years at that point, because we do a lot of video content. We'd actually done as much written as possible. We were still having people going, well, an occasional feature they would come across, once again, that just wasn't a good idea to do written. They'd be like, I want this written. I'm like, they'd be like, there's nothing written. And I would reply, here are 10 written features in the last 6 days. Like, This is the most like unique written content we'd ever published. So,
Right.
but you basically can't make everybody happy.
No.
The best thing you can do is just try to try to hit as middle ground as possible as you can with it. And just do what you can to either have to take two approaches. You have to try to produce a feature that fits across all platforms, which sometimes can make it a meh feature for all platforms, or you figure out which one it's going to work best on, and you put all your effort into making it really good there, so somebody's really stoked on it. Especially when I think of how much stuff there is out there, I would like it if people come into a feature and leave like really satisfied.
Yeah.
It's something and get people to click on it, but there's times I think people come out of stuff like me, like I want somebody to feel like that was worth their minute or 2 minutes or 5 or 10 minutes I got of their day.
Sure. Before we let you go, I got one more thing I want to touch on. We've just got a few minutes before we get Garrett on, but I was thinking about this today because one of my buddies is getting ready to get back into riding, and it's probably been 10, 12 years since he really was serious about it. He's like, man, I don't really know what bike. I hear all these reviews, and I was just thinking like I wish these dealerships had demo bikes.
They do demo days sometimes.
You can't go up to your local, at least around here, to the H&W, Honda, Yamaha, and be like, hey, I want to take one of those 450s out, like you can when you go to the Ford dealership. I want to drive that Mustang. Okay, here are the keys.
I went to River Valley one time. They were you could go ride any Yamaha you wanted to.
Okay, that's a special event. You should be able to,
There should
tomorrow.
be more of those.
I'm saying tomorrow, if you want to go test ride the new KTM, you can't go to the KTM shop and be like, hey, let me take this out for a spin. And I don't know. Like, I feel like, why is that, ML? I mean, I feel like there should be demo.
Legalities. When you have a ride day, you have people signing out special paperwork, signing off. They're being supervised. The bike is being supervised all day. You're usually only allowed to do a couple laps on it. It's as simple as that. I do agree with you. It would be fantastic. I think our sport is missing out on a very crucial in between of getting somebody. We have a great sport. It's very interesting to watch on TV. I think I talk to friends that kind of show it to them that have never seen it, and there's definitely you can pique somebody's interest. But then that conversion of getting them from person who has now seen it on TV or seen something about it on YouTube and want to go try it to getting them into trying a bike into the dealership, like it still kind of requires, hey, a buddy that'll take them riding or something. They can't really just show up at a shop and go, hey, yeah, I want to try this out. And dealer can go, oh yeah, we have a demo day coming up in 6 months.
Right. Yeah. It's not
I
ideal.
do agree. I feel like it's something that can be filled, but there's legality reasons and things why it just can't be as simple as walk up to the dealership and go, hey, can I grab a bike?
Yeah.
It's just an expensive. I'm just figuring out maybe a wider ranging demo program where they're in an area more often. It can be publicized better. But it is something crucial that we're kind of missing.
Yeah, I'll be pretty upset if I found out that a bike I just paid $12,500 for walking out the door had already had some goon riding it at a.
Well, it would be labeled as a demo. It would be one demo unit.
Yeah.
Set to the side. I do that, and some dealerships do get demo units for pros to use or different things, and it would be labeled as such. I think we're just missing. I think the other thing it would help people with is because they see it on TV and they're like, well, I need a new Kicks. Okay, my buddies that ride motor all tell me I need a new Kicks 450. That's expensive. How many people clamor, oh, cheaper bikes there are. They're trail bikes. They're stuff that's plenty good enough for dudes just learning how to ride and girls and kids and all that. It would be nice to be able to get them into a shop and get them to try different models and figure out, okay, like I could do with this and it's half the price. For example. Same thing. You go to a dealership and does everybody see their bike with the fully decked out dually F350 and they want that? But hey, I'll go get the base level F150. I drove around. This is a nice truck too. I'll take this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting to see when the world of the simulation continues to progress and because when I haven't played MX Simulator in years, but when you
I thought you meant us as a society as a simulation.
No. when you because when you play MX Simulator and even on some of the other video games, like the different bikes have different characteristics that you feel when you're riding it.
I've
So
never played.
the progression of that, maybe you would see. Why don't some dealers or not dealers, manufacturers
OEMs.
put more R&D into stuff like that where people could all right, well, you want to see what the new YZ450 feels like? Like, this is what it's going to do. I feel like on a track. I don't know. There's got to be some way eventually.
Oh God, I get where you're coming, but that is a reach. I'm a big video game nerd, and there is nothing about playing a game that makes me go, "Oh, I should get this bike."
No, I know
I don't know, man. When I was playing,
but
when I was playing MX Unleashed, I was like, dude, I'm ripping. I need to go ride today.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like, you could be like, okay, well, and when I'm this rider, I'm riding this track, and I go into this one rut on a Honda, and then it goes in, I go into it in a YZ. The YZ noticeably does something different. You can feel that. Eventually.
Well,
I said eventually.
Too much rider input. Because I can jump on a bike and tell you it turns great, and Jamie can jump on it and say it turns terrible.
Yeah. I'm not talking 2025. I'm talking 20.
On. ML, we'll get you back on after Vann Martin. I'll text you a little bit ahead of time so that you know we're wrapping up, and we'll do all the segments at the end.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for Michael Lindsay coming on. Yeah. I do want to touch on something else while I get him on. So you've been Roxon's coming back. Let's touch on that.
Okay.
Give me your thoughts on Roxon, how he's going to do, what your expectations out of him are.
I think I was thinking, because I knew we were going to talk about this on the way over here. And the way I was looking at it and thinking about it is it would be a different scenario if we had seen Jet he starts like fourth or fifth, and then 2 or 3 laps in, he's all of a sudden he's in the lead. But like the dude has been untouchable on the starts, and he's managing the race better than we've seen a lot of people do in a long time, and he's getting out in front and just doing his own thing. I would be interested if it had been the case where he hadn't been getting those ridiculous starts and starting in front and just running away with it. I would say I would be curious to see what Roxon could do with a whole shot in like 10 minutes of Jet trying to get from 5th to him. That not being what's happened so far in the first 6 rounds, I don't know necessarily how he can really run with that.
Yeah, I don't expect him to.
But
I just want to know what you think he's going to do.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to see him see what happens with him in the lead for 15 minutes. I would be very interested to see how that race ends up. I think Jet obviously is probably going to get him at the end of that, but I would be interested to see how that goes. But that's just not the way the motos have been going.
No.
So I think I put him. I would like to see a cool battle between AP and him. I think that's what we're going to see.
So you think Kenny You think Kenny podiums?
I think he comes in there, in podiums for sure.
For sure.
I think so. I mean,
I might.
It's not like he hasn't. It's not like he hasn't rode in.
No, I think he can podium, but I certainly wouldn't say for sure. So we might talk about this towards
overall. I mean,
we'll talk about it. But we got our next guest on the line. So FXR is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best products possible. So visit fxrracing.com to see the numerous gear lines and colorways, as well as the snow lines, and go to your local dealership and ask for FXR. Tonight, FXR brings us from the muck-off FXR Club MX Yamaha team, Garrett Marchbanks. What's up, Garrett?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Just knocking out another show. I assume you were out training today?
Yeah, just practicing them starts.
Okay, that's where I was gonna go, man. That seems to be the weak point right now.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely been a struggle. On the 450, I only had 2 days to really prep for it. So yeah, it was definitely, I didn't really have much time to get ready and do a lot of starts on the bike, but this week we definitely hammered out a lot.
So has it been a struggle because of the new grates and adjusting? Is it technique? Is it just getting used to the power itself, or maybe a little bit of all the above?
Honestly, when I was on the 250, I thought my starts were good. Obviously on TV and at the races, they were not. I mean, we all thought our starts were actually really good in practice, but going to the 450 and just changing things up, I really didn't know how I was going to start. Especially, we all kind of forgot we were going to do first gear this past weekend, so all I really had time for was the first gear starts after race. So I only got like 5 of them in.
Yeah, I guess that makes a difference. That's definitely something you got to adjust to. I'm gonna be super honest. Like when I heard that you wanted to switch to the 450. Everybody keeps saying, well, he's a big guy and, it's a lot for that 250, but like, I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. If I was being honest, I thought you've always been good on the 250. So the amount that you improved on the 450 surprised me a little bit, but clearly you knew that's what you needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought the 250 was going to be good. It just seemed like all of us were kind of struggling just getting out of the gate, me, Jerma, and Kilroy. And, just for us to come from freaking 30th, 35th place every single moto the first 2 rounds just wasn't ideal. And I remember after Hangtown, I was like, man, like, what do we do? I remember coming in Monday, I was just like, we got to make a change on the starts or something. And they're like, what do you think of 450? I was like, all right, let's do it. And they're like, oh, are you serious? I was like, yep, let's get it. Let's get the bike ready. Let's start on Tuesday. So, yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of funny that you say that that's how you got into the 450 class, because I was thinking that it was more of just like dude, there's let's get this bike in that top 10 rather than being in the top 10 in the 250 class.
Because the class was a little bit depleted.
I didn't realize it was trying to figure out more bike stuff than it was just. I thought it was more of the opportunity of the class that presented itself.
No, honestly, like I know the class isn't as as gnarly as the lights class right now. I mean, there's still a lot of good guys in the 450 class, factory or not. But yeah, I mean, I was really bummed. I really wanted to get up in the top 10, even top 5. I honestly thought with my speed in the lights class, I could definitely be a top 5 guy this year. But for how thick that field is, you can't start out of the top 20 every moto and work your way up. It's just super hard. And so, yeah, we just made the better decision, especially for me. I thought I would be good on the lights bike because of all the weight I lost, but it obviously showed up. We couldn't get out of the gate. So,
yeah. Well, when you got guys like Hayden and them that are like 140 pounds sopping wet, it's
sure, I guess.
But so that brings up one of the other questions that I had for you was, if it was solely up to you, obviously where the team wants you to go and where the opportunities are is a big factor in that. But if it was solely up to you, would you be a 450 guy from here on out for the rest of your career, or do you feel like there's stuff in the 250 class that you still want to check off the bucket list?
For me, obviously, I want to win a lights class title in the Supercross series. I think that's my best scenario at the moment, just with my size and outdoors. Like, just you have 15 plus guys on factory bikes, and obviously we're not quite there yet. And just how deep they rip the starts, it's pretty hard for us to get up in there on the outdoor side of things. But on Supercross, it's a lot different. We've seen Jeremy and Enzo get good starts in Supercross because it's a lot harder packed. And so I definitely would like to, kind of do what Craig did, lights, Supercross, 450 outdoors.
Yeah,
that's a good program.
I think that's a good plan. And yeah, the 450, you just touched on it a minute ago that you didn't get much time on it. And I don't know that everybody knows this. I think Michael Lindsay talked about it on our post-race show that, yeah, it was thrown together so quickly that the semi was already at Thunder Valley and they had to throw it in the back of like a van or buy a van and drive it and reassemble it. Yeah.
So the funny thing was we were trying to figure out how to get a bike out there because you all right, the bike or the semi was out there and they were trying to get a dealer, ship the trade with them, and no one would have a bike. So yeah, the best scenario was we rented a SUV. We framed the bike down, threw it in the back of a car. My mechanic and Kilroy's mechanic drove. I think they left at 11 o'clock at night on Wednesday and drove straight through and got to the race on Thursday.
That's dedication right there. They had to put the bike back together, Scotty.
Yeah.
After driving all night. That's pretty gnarly, man. But that's the stuff behind the scenes that you don't see from the mechanics.
Yeah. It's crazy. So many pits have a story like that people just don't even see. It's nuts.
You got anything?
Oh yeah. I didn't know if you, so that we've been talking about like where your results and getting better and stuff. And man, to me, I was thinking about this making my notes, and man, I don't know, I don't think we've seen your ceiling yet. And I think that there's, a lot of potential for you. Like you said, your goal is to get that Supercross championship. But, when we look ahead down the road 3 to 5 years, where do we see ourselves?
Honestly, I'd like to have a Supercross title, like I said.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely feel like I'm capable of it. I mean, I've had the speed multiple years. Just always dealt with, some type of issue, sadly. But I think I felt like this year during the off season, before I got hurt, was probably my best year I've ever had. I know a lot of guys say that, but I truly felt like, prepping into the series, like my fitness was super good. Riding was good. We made a lot of changes with the bike, and it was all positive. So I truly felt like it was a year where I was going to be a consistent 1 through 5 guy. I definitely felt like I could have at least podiumed a lot of races. But yeah, sadly with the wrist still, it held me out of that, and with 3 surgeries. But yeah, I mean, in these next couple of years, I mean, oh heck, I'd like to get that title and see what I could do in outdoors, lights, or 450. Just be a consistent top 5 guy. I would love to win an outdoor title as well. I mean, that's where I was mainly really good at when I first came into the Pro Series. But yeah, I mean, whatever happens, I guess.
Yeah.
You mentioned wanting to, or you expected to be a 1 to 5 guy. When you have those expectations and you feel you're at your best, and then either it doesn't work out that way while you're racing, or you have an injury, that's a mental and emotional kick in the balls, basically. How do you recover from that? What do you tell yourself? What do you work on to know, like, okay, I can get back there even though it didn't work out this time?
I mean, good example is freaking Paula. I mean, I think me and Germa definitely thought we were going to be a 1 to 5 guy, and we went 15, 16 or 16, 17. And it was just kind of like, I remember pulling back to the house. We pulled into the driveway because we're neighbors. And I remember we pulled in Sunday morning and get out of our trucks. And I was like, so where do we go from here? He's like, I don't know, but definitely not that again. We just kind of laughed it off. It was like, yeah, we cannot do that again. And it was kind of like a lot of guys. I remember even when I was a rookie or my second or third year, it was kind of like I would mentally just get so mad about it.
Yeah.
I would kind of like not fall apart, but just I didn't know where to go. And I was so young then, because growing up, like as an amateur, like I never got 5th or 3rd or anything like that. It was always 1 to 2. And so definitely dealing with that as I've gotten older and been in the pros for a while. It's just kind of like, move on to the next race, do the best you can. And that was like this weekend. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air, I guess you'd call it, going into the 450 class. And we didn't really have like a goal. It was just kind of like, do the best you can, get comfortable with the bike, and we'll see how it goes. And, that first moto, I came from the pack, had a first turn get together with Chisholm, and, I got 6th place. So it was definitely like, okay, that was better than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know, when you have those bad races, you just got to learn to let it go and move on with it, and just know you are that top guy.
Yeah, I would assume one good result or one decent result kind of wipes out those negatives. You could have 2 or 3 bad races, but then you have a good race. You're like, okay, I still got it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, because it was like the first 2 rounds were definitely not good for us. And to come out this weekend on a different bike that I've only ridden 2 times, and it's a completely different chassis to last year's 450.
Mm-hmm.
And, to go 7th overall was definitely a good sign. So, yeah.
Hey, I want to touch on one other thing you mentioned earlier a while ago. You said you lost a bunch of weight this year. Is that from a new program? What did you do different? What was it intentional to lose weight? And did you just restructure how you work out, or how the way you eat?
Yeah, it was just, just plan things out more, and just more of a consistent diet, or not diet, but just a gym program. I've never really had a consistent program since I was probably, 18 over at Mitch's. And, we definitely changed some things up this year, and it's definitely helped. I was around the 195 range when I finished with the 450 last year. And the team kind of told me, like, if you're not under 190, you can't race that lights bike. Like, it won't hold you for, 2 30-minute motos on the outdoor side of things. And which I wanted to be down to the 180, 185 range anyhow. And yeah, we leaned out. I mean, I think at Paula, I weighed myself and I was like 183.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely been a good sign. It's definitely good. I was more just putting weight on last year just because I was dealing with sickness issues all the time, and I thought it was because I was leaning out too much. And just found out it was just certain supplements I wasn't taking, and just finding out different things for my body, and we figured it out, and it's actually been helping me really well, especially with my motos these first 3 rounds.
And how tall are you?
I am 6'2".
Okay, yeah, so we're about the same weight and same height. I didn't realize you were quite that tall. I knew you were big, but I didn't realize you were quite that tall. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it always blows my mind, like how how much little things that you guys have to fine tune. Like, you know, we saw it with Hunter Lawrence. It took him a couple years to realize that, like, he just had a natural, it was like a I don't know,
kind of deficiency.
yeah, just like some kind of thing that you don't know until you've realized that you're like,
Got to go to the doctor.
like, oh, like I'm, you know, or the who was the rider? They did a spot on him during one of the motos this race where he had the high heart rate. I think it was it Drake?
Oh,
I think it was Drake.
I'm blanking too.
He had like he used to be running like 220, 230 heart rates, and then he just thought that was how his body was. Then you find out, like, it blows my mind how much you guys have to fine tune, and it's, you know, you being 6'2", having to fine tune to be the weight of somebody that's probably like 5'10", 5'11". That's got to be hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I know during the year, Drake was having that issue. I was also having that issue, kind of a similar issue with my heart rate. I mean, I remember my first year with club at, I think it was Budds Creek, got a top 5 start, was running right with that top 5 group. And my heart rate was, I think, 205, 210.
Jesus.
And which I didn't feel like I was breathing hard. I felt like I was fine. Like I was super calm, like I was in practice. And I just kind of felt like my legs were giving out. Like, I remember coming into a turn, my leg was just like, it wouldn't lift up. I just kind of dragged my leg and I tipped over, and I had barely any energy to get up. And, you know, Drake and I both worked with Dr. Navarro, and Navarro thought we both had the same issue. So when he found out his was the heart condition, he's like, you might have the same thing. So we got some stuff done and found out it was Addison's disease, and which I didn't get fully diagnosed with it. It was just symptoms of like what that disease is. And we just basically, it was just like, how would I explain it? The body just had too much. I just overworked myself that year, just trying to come back from the knee injury, and I was just overriding myself during the weeks. I mean, I was riding 3 days a week, just hammering 30s every single day, thinking that was the smart way to do it when it's super hot out here. And then by the time the weekend came, my body was just destroyed. I had no energy. So after doing that for 8 rounds that year, I remember I was like, okay, we did way too much. And last year I dealt with sicknesses, just stupid colds and sinus infections and stuff like that. And we actually found out, I remember I went to Paula for the last round last year, and we noticed it at Ironman. I was getting lightheaded, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why am I getting lightheaded? And found out it was an iron supplement deal. Like, I was super low on iron. So they said that's what I was getting, was not enough iron in my body. And it was making me lightheaded to the point where I'd almost black out.
Wow. Yeah, Scott, I feel like he's answering my questions that you and I were talking about for Alex Martin later.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's like, I feel like he's answering some of those questions for myself, but go ahead. You have another one.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, and I've mentioned this on the show before, that whole scenario that you were just talking about of working too much and then not having enough for the weekend and finding out these little things like the iron deficiency and stuff. I always felt like that was the causation of Alessi.
Is causation a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it not?
I don't know.
I don't know, Garrett. Do you know what I was talking about?
Not a clue. No.
I think it would just be cause, but anyway.
It was the causation of a lot of...
Sure. Anyway, go ahead, Garrett.
I'm about to get on Google.
Go ahead. You could answer that if you want.
Oh, yeah. But, I don't know. It's definitely, I think it was, it's just kind of crazy because you look at the amateur side of things. We do only 15, 20-minute motos, and then you jump into the pros and everything's double the amount of work, which I don't mind. I mean, I'll work as much as I need to. And I think it just finally caught up to me. And you just start realizing all these little things that turn into big things with your body, and it finally just can't handle it. You know, in the amateurs, you got 1 big week of racing and then you got 3 months off.
Right.
With the pros, you got something every single weekend. So once something starts going south, you're going to deal with it, the whole entire season. And I've actually been working with Alex a little bit with that type of things, because he's super smart with that side, the off the bike stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely seen some things I could have changed. And, he's just giving me some tips here and there with stuff. And it's definitely made a huge improvement. And, I feel like that's why in my motos I've been a lot better this year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just starting to get into the training program, and I jumped on troll training. So, he's had me back everything down, and it doesn't makes sense in my head. Like, why am I doing less? But there has to be a method to it. So I'm sure I'm going to learn when I talk to him tonight why that is. I want to shift gears just a minute about the track conditions at the first 2 rounds versus Thunder Valley. Like, the 2 California tracks seemed absolutely awful. Thunder Valley actually seemed pretty rough too because of all the ruts, but it seemed like a much better motocross track. What did you think of the conditions at the first 3 rounds?
I thought Paula was okay.
Okay.
I think sadly the track, just how they make Paula, turns into one line, so it makes it super tough for passing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feel like they made everything kind of at a off camber. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it just felt super awkward and everything just faded into one line. And it just seemed super hard packed. Like they didn't rip it very deep. And same with Hangtown. It just seemed super hard packed. I don't mind those conditions, but definitely for racing, it's not the greatest. It's not like Colorado, where, you have 15 different lines in every turn to pass. I would definitely say Colorado is my favorite track so far, just because of the passing side of things.
Yeah, that's what I thought from just watching on TV. Like, I like to see multiple lines, and even if they're rough, rutted, nasty lines, at least you have multiple choices.
Yeah, same. I mean, if every national could be like Denver, I would definitely pull for that, because I'm not a huge fan of the first 2 rounds. I mean,
Sure.
I liked I don't know why I keep saying Glen Helen. Denver just because of I like Colorado just because of the lines. Like, I mean, I felt like it was so rough and rutted, it had to slow us down, so we weren't going Mach 10 like the first 2 rounds.
Absolutely.
So I definitely thought it was better racing that way. It slows us down, makes the track more technical, to where, you see some of those guys like, me, Ty, and Harlan, like, we're able to keep up with those faster guys because of that.
Yep. Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah. Speaking of the tracks, working at club and being able to ride the facility, which is probably one of the top-notch facilities that there is, what track or terrain does that kind of relate the most to in the national series? And then when you're working out at the training facility and you're riding those tracks, do you ever have, like, say, like, you're at club and then you're going to go to Hangtown or Paula, and like, or if you're going to go to a track where it is similar to, do you get different levels of confidence being like, well, this is not doing me any good, I got to go ride a track that's completely different than this, or I'm going to have now more confidence because I'm riding something that is just like what we're about to go do?
Yeah, it's definitely hard here because it's the South. I mean, we have a lot of clay and sand compared to the West Coast, like Paula. I mean, we're not going to get the exact same thing, but the clay track here, we have our practice facility gets pretty hard packed. So we usually ride that the week before just to kind of get a good base, good feel on the bike to see what it's going to be like. Our main track's kind of a little bit clay, loamy dirt. So if we know we are going to go to a track like High Point or Southwick or Redbud where it's really deep, that's the type of track we're going to ride. So, I mean, we definitely got a lot of options. Like our sand track here, we ride that the week before Southwick just because it's so similar to it.
Cool. Yeah, I got to invite Scotty to go out there for a week from Mike Bonacci. I can't wait. I can't wait to do that, man. I asked him the other day, Scotty, that, like, we got to make that happen somehow. Like, get me out there for a week. Dude, I'm stoked. I want to go so bad. But before it's going to be so awesome. Before we wrap this thing up, you recently re-signed for 2 years. That has to be a hell of a pressure relief, knowing that you're locked in and can focus just on riding and training.
Yeah, it's definitely been nice. Sometimes those 1-year deals are kind of stressful.
Oh, is it a 1 year?
Just like, no, I'm saying prior, like those last year deals. Like last year, I know I had 1 year left, and it was kind of like, man, I hope it's a good year, so I get re-signed. And they gave me a 2-year deal, so it's definitely relieve a pressure on me. Just so this year I could just focus on myself and racing. I mean, this year, let's just say I did sign another year. It definitely would have been hard for me to go somewhere just because I missed most of the season because of a wrist injury.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the team as well. What have you seen? You've been with them for a while, and it's cool to see that you're going to have that extension and continue that. What have you seen the biggest improvement that the team itself has made? And then also a little bit of, we got Phil Nicoletti coming back this weekend. and there's always a fun story with Phil involved, and there's there's a lot of good stuff that comes from that. But on a serious note, he seems to be a pretty vital part of that program, and has a lot of insight and experience that has helped you guys. So with all of that encompassed, what is the biggest improvement you've seen the team make since you've been there?
I mean, it's crazy. We started out, like, I remember my first year here, we started out of this little tiny shop and, a couple bikes. I mean, we're practicing on stock Yamahas at first, which was completely different than what I was used to when I was over at Cowie.
Mm-hmm.
And, just going from that to year 2, we started riding on more modded bikes and, just upgraded parts and, staff. And then this year, we built this huge giant shop, and it's more of like a race team style stuff. And just to have Jerma and Phil there, Jeremy loves to test stuff all the time. So I don't know, it's just great. We have more parts now, more of a race style of a team. Heck, I don't know where I'm going with it, but no, I just love the guys here. It's more of a family program. Everyone's super close. We just won the belt the other day. The whole team did. So I don't know. It's just super awesome. I love it over here.
Yeah, it must be fairly mutual because Enzo re-signed too. And I think Enzo had some options and he chose to stay there because he's very comfortable there and he likes it. And yeah, the team is trying to improve. Brandon and Mike, really working hard out there to improve every year and become a quote unquote factory level team.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, I like Enzo. Enzo's been great. It's cool to see a fast guy that just finished. I don't know what he took, 3rd or 4th in the series, stay here. And, it just shows that guys like his level and mine and Phil and Jeremy are willing to stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Last question I have for you, and this is just a random one. I was thinking about this recently is when your mechanic throws out the pit board, how often do you actually see it and can read what's on it?
I mean, if I'm going to be honest with it, I only look at it probably the last 10 minutes of the race.
Okay.
Especially this first 3 rounds because I've been going through so many people, every single moto coming from the pack. So, someone's always covering it or, I'm so focused on the track. I'm just trying to get going. But, those last 10 minutes, I mean, this weekend was the first time I actually read the pit board. Like, all right, I don't know, 5th or 6th or 7th is this far ahead of you. You're running this time and this is how much time you got left, push it. And yeah, me, I get so focused on the track and the race, I don't even look at it half the time.
That's why I asked. I was training with Vann Martin the other day. I say training. I suck, Garrett, but I went down there just to get some technique help, and they were throwing the pit board out, and I was like, dude, I can't look at that. I'm like trying to not die on this running track.
Trying not to get worked by a kid on a 65.
Yeah, I had kids on 65s working me on my 350, and it was really embarrassing. But yeah, I was like, I don't know how these guys at Mach 5 look over at the pit board and read anything because I couldn't do it. So I was just curious. Wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely tough at some rounds, just where the pit board's at. Like, what round is it? High Point. High Point's pretty tough to look at just because you're coming right out of the finish line and you're wide open down the straightaway and you're just kind of like zooming right by it. So, I mean, some rounds you could see it pretty well, especially Redbud. Redbud's a good one. You're coming up right out of a right-hander that's pretty slow and just stuff like that. Yeah.
You guys are super talented. I mean, ripping at full throttle, Scotty, and reading a book. There's so much information on those damn pit boards.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. Well, in the GPs, they have more of like, it's not just like Sharpie or Expo marker. It's like legit, like they have like times and like, it's got like numbers and
stuff. There's a lot of information. But then they also usually have a long straightaway.
Yeah, like a designated spot.
Anyway. Garrett, dude, I appreciate you jumping on here, man. Really, congratulations on the good ride at Thunder Valley. Hope to see more of it at High Point and keep improving.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Right. See you guys.
Yep. Garrett Marchbanks tonight, brought to you by FXR. Yeah, good stuff. Garrett, you see Garrett moving up in the series? Do you think as he improves that we'll?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't go back and what was his results for this weekend? I didn't see it.
6'8" for 7th.
6'8" for 7th. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He'll get into that top 5.
You think so?
Yeah, I can see that if I could see someone like AC, like if he's not careful, all of a sudden Garrett's going to be right there on him.
Can you see Garrett getting a podium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think like I could see it being like a solid, like something happens to like a couple, like say like for example this weekend where AP and Ferrandis got into each other.
Mhm.
You know, I could see a situation like that happening where maybe he gets like a 2.5 for like third overall or something like that.
Okay.
I could see something like that.
What about Phil? Where's Phil at? Now he's going to take a little while. He's been injured, but
Yeah, maybe not right off the bat,
Yeah.
but I mean, if
he's top 10 for sure.
yeah, I would say if he's not top 10, then he's going to be like, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah.
That wasn't a bad Phil impersonation.
I mean, it's not hard to do a Phil impersonation.
Yeah, I don't
feel
think I could do it. That's pretty good. I liked it. Yeah.
I
anyway.
like Phil so much.
Phil's-
man. He's
I
cool.
do too. Let's go back to Thunder Valley, and some of the talk obviously was Hayden Deegan, Hunter Lawrence, and how Hayden was riding.
Hee haw.
There were some people that didn't like that. I want to get your thoughts on Hayden looking back, crossing lines. How do you feel about that?
So what's interesting to me is how much this is getting talked about. It's because like I had to go back and watch it again. I was like, what is everybody freaking out about? Like, what did I miss? And then I went and watched the race, and it was literally like, it was 2 corners, and like, yeah, he was riding a little squirrely, but I mean, he was riding to defend his thing. The thing that I didn't like the look when he was going over a jump, like the double look. Like, I get it, one thing, look one time to see where like the guy's coming, like what line he's at, take a quick look in the air, but he did like a little like double, like what like he was playing games. I don't really,
he was.
yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of that, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, to me, it was like 94% defensive riding, just trying not to let the guy around him that obviously was faster than him, and then like 6% of it was like young kid kind of playing dumb games, which I wasn't really there for. But the other 94% of that, I was there for.
Yeah, and everybody knows that I like Hayden as a kid. I think he's a good kid. I think he's very polite. We've already talked about all that, but I didn't like that riding. I thought it was crossing the line defensively riding. He wasn't just riding defensively, protecting his lines and trying to protect the inside. He was trying to switch lines to block, and
I saw the switching lines. I didn't see much of the cross jumping. What are
I
they?
think it was earlier, and it was a little difficult to see on TV. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but they were definitely seeing it, and I think there's a lot of people say he's done that most of his career, his amateur career. I can't attest to that because I haven't seen it, but I didn't dig it. I would rather Hayden. He's young, but race forward. You know where you want to go. You know where the fast line is. Yeah, try to protect the inside, maybe, but you don't cross across.
You don't cross.
You don't cross across. I don't
I
even know.
think that's not how you say that,
Okay.
but we'll go
You
with it.
don't go across ruts. And trying to intentionally switch lines because you're trying to block. I just think that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And Hunter kind of had his response and didn't like it.
I thought
like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's also Lakewood too, and those ruts are like this. I mean, like,
Okay, that's more of a reason that you don't like try to
Yeah,
jump
that's a
out
good
of him.
point.
He's trying to jump out of ruts to get over.
that
Wasn't a fast line. He was doing that to get in front of or mess with Hunter, in my opinion, anyway. And I don't think that's how he needs to be racing. And it slowed him down. It's not work. I guess
exactly.
maybe you're hoping that Hunter makes a mistake and crashes, but that's
Yeah.
not good racing.
Yeah, I think that he's still, he's getting a little bit of that out of his system. I think it's definitely in the realm of time where he can get past that, and like it's not gonna like be his whole MO as a rider. But if he keeps doing it 3 or 4 more rounds, especially with someone high profile like Hunter, it's definitely going to catch up to him, and I don't think in a way that he's going to like it. But also at the same time, another thing that came up from that whole thing was like there was a point being made about, was he doing that to let Jay Coop get out more in front? And I thought that was far fetched.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. The Hayden was not thinking about Jay Coop in that scenario at all. There's no way.
There are some weird theories out there.
Yeah, but that one. I'm here. Usually, even last week, I was here for the weird theory, but that one,
That's true.
that one,
Yeah.
I'm not here for.
Yeah, I didn't dig that one, but yeah, I was a little disappointed in the way Hayden was riding.
Yeah, but he's 17.
I know. I want him to grow past that.
Yeah,
and
like I
race
said, he still
forward.
has the chance to do that.
Okay, so Amart's about ready, so we're going to get him on in just a second. One quick other topic. Everybody's discussed it. Tyler Masterpool. like AP did the same thing in the first moto coming from the back, but for a privateer to do that and then have the ride he did in the second moto, beating some of the top factory riders that are in the series. Congratulations to Tyler. Props to Tyler. Very, very impressive. Hoping that he can continue to put in those type of efforts.
Yeah, I guess the interesting point would be, maybe what you think of this. Like, do you think? Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if he can keep doing it, because how much of that was track induced. He's been like 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there for the most part. So he's kind of been right there. But he was like, dude, I was rewatching the race this afternoon while I was doing some work, and I caught a glimpse of when the first moto, when him and AP were working through the pack, and at the very end he passed him, but then AP got him back. Like right before that, AP looked back, was like, Who's following me? Who the heck is that? Yeah, who is on the green bike right there? Was that AC? Did Anderson show up and I didn't know about it?
It was a very impressive ride, but one of the most impressive things for me from Ty is just not having, like, a lot of privateers might be like, oh, whoa, that's Aaron Plessinger, or that's so and so, and be a little bit intimidated still. And he was not at all.
He was feeding into it.
Yeah,
he was like, I'm going to get this guy.
I dug it. I hope he can continue that. We'll find out as the series rolls on. But our next guest of the night is on the line, and he's going to be brought to you by WUSA. WUSA is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget. If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Smith, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and Jeremy McGrath, just to name a few, we have what you need. Visit WUSA.com or follow us on Instagram and check out the coolest builds we have done. Use promo code MotoXpod to save. And tonight, WUSA brings us from Troll Training, Alex Martin. What's up, A-Mart?
What's up? How we doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. We're fit. We're feeling good. We're eating right. And yeah, man, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but yeah, I'm officially Troll Train and I'm digging it.
Yeah, so we're 1 week in and your fitness has improved like 50%?
Probably 70%.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. We got the plan each week and we're just making progress, and it's been kind of fun communicating with you and trying to help you out.
Yeah, I've got questions for you, so we're just going to get right into it. Like, I sent you basically what I was doing on my own leading into this. And over the last few days, as I get my new workouts, I feel like, well, that's not as much as I was doing. So, and we were just talking to Garrett Marchbanks, and he said kind of the same thing. Like, he was doing too much in his career when he didn't really know what he was doing. So that's part of the process, right? Kind of starting slow, figuring where you're at, and not overdoing it.
Well, and kind of like prioritizing certain things within your program. Cardio, ultimately, from what I found, like it's good to have, be strong in the gym, have some mobility, have a strong core. Those are all, be flexible, stretching, yoga, but like you have to have a strong heart and, with that cardio. So the strong heart obviously allows you to pump more blood to your body, to your muscles, which is ultimately the biggest kind of, factor for fitness. So yeah, like the stuff you sent me over, Dark Side, it kind of reminded me of like high school football practice. I think you had something in there about like running the bleachers and doing like dips on the bleachers or something.
Yeah, every day, and 600 of them.
I'm like, dude, like honestly, I appreciate you're definitely serious and you definitely want to kick some ass. It sounds like, looking at your program, but I think if we kind of focus our priorities in different areas, I think we can make some serious progress here.
Okay. See, the reason I did that, of course, being uneducated, I'm like, it's getting ready to start getting hot. So I go at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon when it's super hot because I want to adjust to the heat and my heart rate gets high. So I'm thinking, well, that's good. That's going to build cardio. I'm breathing heavy. So yeah, that was like, that's what I thought I was doing, and then you told me like, oh, it might be a little bit too much. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought I was probably not doing enough.
If you want me to get out there and all varsity blues high school coach you out the bleachers, I'm here for it, man.
No, it's pretty interesting how different it is, I guess, than what I expected.
Yeah. And then it's hard to even just put even just like 1 week is really a snapshot in terms of like, if you're a trainer and you're educating, you kind of know like a periodization where you're kind of structuring your year to where certain parts of the year you're working on strength and building, strength in the gym. And even just like the reps and sets you do will be different than in a maintenance period. There's certain parts of the year where you're working on, more volume. So you're really training kind of that aerobic foundation. And then there's certain times of the year where you're bringing down your overall volume and the time you spend in the gym, and you're really trying to like fine tune that high level 1% fitness, right? High intensity intervals. So there's so many things you can do, and it really just depends on the time of year, and that's why like I kind of was on you guys about like, do you have a race, like a goal race that we can kind of plan for? Because there's going to be a lot of phases that you go through before you get to that race.
Yeah, and for those that are listening, I don't know if we've talked about this. Michael Lindsay and I both are going to do trail training, and we're both going to go race the Ironman GNCC again. And then I made a new goal just over a week ago that I'm going to make my first attempt ever at Loretta's in 24. So I have a long-term goal also. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel better than I ever have in my life anyway. So that I'm already seeing physical changes, and then I'm seeing the cardio type changes when I go out and I go ride, and I'm doing 4 and 5, 15, 20 minute motos, and I'm not even getting tired. It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting prepped for the ride day at Millville, for the Pulp MX ride day.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be on peak form for that October 14th, because not Phil, but Steve is probably going to be in peak form as well. So you need to show him up on his own ride day.
I have to, because he worked me at Glen Helen, and I can't have that. We got to redeem ourselves big time.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we're on the right track.
I think so. And I appreciate you.
It's funny, Alex. You get to like, when they're talking to you, you're like, oh, I'm doing this troll training thing. I'm going to listen to Alex and like, yeah, yes, sir. I'm going to do this and that. But then like, Kiefer talks about this a lot. Like, yeah, he's just dumb old dad. Aiden never listens. Aiden doesn't listen to him. And then, we're over here talking about his training and stuff, and he's listening to you. But when I come in 30 minutes before the show starts, and it's like all I hear is him. I think he just likes to complain, troll. He just wants. I try to give him suggestions. I'm like, he's a picky eater. He's trying this diet. I'm like, dude, there's stuff that you can add to that to make it better. And he's like, well, I don't like that. And he just wants to bitch. I think that's the half of it.
Yeah. Well, I've had this conversation with a few of my athletes. They're like, they're really concerned about diet, and they want to be better in the nutrition department. And I'm like, well, like, eat a vegetable. They're like, well, I don't like vegetables. I'm like, well, you kind of need to at least try some vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, that's just like the bare minimum to entry. If you want some health, like, try eating a salad or some vegetables. Like, they're not going to kill you, and they're actually pretty nutrient dense.
Well, I'm definitely that guy. I was the kid that when mom said, you're not leaving the table until you eat those vegetables, I was there till bedtime, because I don't like vegetables. And literally last Thursday, I guess it was, maybe Wednesday, was my very first salad I'd ever eaten in my life. And I was so angry because it was awful, I thought. But I'm actually, literally these last couple of days, I'm kind of looking forward to lunch. Like, I'm eating my salad every day. I go get the spring mix like you suggested. And my stepdaughter said, just sprinkle a little bit of like maybe some Tony Saturates, just the smallest amount, like put a little flavor in. I'm gobbling it up now. I'm like, I don't need, I'm starting to like the olive oil dressing or what, I might be a vegetable guy now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Dude. Yeah. And that's why I say too, with people, like, if you just steam your vegetables, they're not going to taste good, but you start frying, let's say broccoli or something in with some butter. Like, my go-to is Kerrygold butter. I feel like I put Kerrygold butter on almost everything. And I mean, broccoli is like a sponge. So like, you put in a tablespoon of butter and it's going to soak it right up, but it's also going to taste good too. I think a lot of health foods, we kind of correlate them like tasting like shit because there's no fat. But if you put some fat into that, especially healthy fats, like, that's going to make it taste better. So like, that's the problem with processed food, is a lot of it, they, in order to make it taste good, they pump it full of sodium and sugar, and obviously those things aren't good for you. But if you literally just take good, healthy, like, raw produce and put some butter in it, some healthy fats, that's kind of a win-win.
Yeah. And I'm feeling the difference in only a week. I feel like I'm starting to see differences. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm glad that you agreed to do this with us and help us. And, and of course, John Wesley, and he gets on there and sends little messages and things I should work on. And it's very cool how the website works and the app and everything. And I'm trying to take it to heart, Alex. I'm trying to make you proud, man.
There we go. No, it's fun, honestly. And, this troll training thing has honestly been one of the best things I could do for retirement.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, like as a pro motocrosser, to kind of like just retire, and like I can see how some guys like want nothing to do with the sport, because like that's all we've done. Like we travel, we train, we race I did it for 15 years. But like troll training has kind of forced me to still stay in it and still communicate with the athletes and pay attention to, like, we have guys doing GNCCs, flat tracks, supercross, outdoors, and world supercross. So I have to be kind of aware of the schedules and, making sure these guys are peaking at certain periods of the, getting ready for world supercross is a lot different than, say, outdoors, So it's kind of forced me to stay in it, which I think has probably been good for me mentally.
Yeah, I bet. I was going to ask you that. So in August, in just a couple months, it would be a year since your last professional race. Where are you at mentally with that? Do you miss it? Are you kind of like, all right, I'm used to it now? Where are you at headspace wise?
I definitely, like, especially seeing how like watered down the 450 classes and outdoors. I'm like, God damn, if there was ever a year to like race 450 outdoors, this is it,
Right.
But I don't know, like I had 15 years to get results and give it my all, and I feel like I'm content with what I did in the sport, especially in the 250 class. And so, yeah, I'm so busy right now with like Spring Creek stuff, help my parents with, like, we just had a Loretta Lynn regional last weekend. The nationals coming up in a few weeks here, and then troll training stuff that I'm so busy. I guess I don't even have time to like think about what I'm missing out on. I've been riding like once or twice a month, and I've kind of been content with that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex, you mentioned you were doing some GNCC stuff and also some other things. Like the first part of this is kind of, what is there any correlation between some of those things and all, do they relate together? And like, how fit does a dirt track guy have to be, and what areas of his body has to be better? And then also like explain the anomaly to me of a guy like Stu Baylor, because Stu Baylor looks like he just threw down like 30 Keystone Lights, and then he goes out there and does a 3-hour race and smokes everybody. Like he's always blown my mind of how he's able to do that long.
Well, yeah, it's interesting too, because it flies against the face of like all logic, especially from a fitness perspective. But ultimately, like, Stu Baylor knows how to ride a dirt bike, and his techniques and his fundamentals are really good. And maybe there's something to be said about having a little bit more fat, gives him a little more staying power for 3 hours. But just knowing how to ride a dirt bike will get you a long way in the sport. But having said that, God, how good would Stu Baylor be if he lost 20 or 30 pounds?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
He might be freaking like, dude, unbeatable.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, where now he's kind of like maybe a little bit more hit or miss, even though when he does hit, he wins. But man, he would be freaking unbelievable. Maybe if he's a little bit, I don't know. I don't really know Stu Baylor's day-to-day program. So
I think it might be, like Scotty said, some Keystone Lights.
Yeah.
Maybe a little Bluebell ice cream. I don't know. The type of program I used to be on.
Yeah.
Oreos and ice cream.
Oh yeah. I'm still on that program.
Dude, I'm angry at Alex every night.
Well,
about 8 o'clock when it's time for ice cream, I get angry at Alex, but then I'm okay by morning. I'm over it.
Dude, he smoked 3 corn and unseasoned beef tacos before the show, dude.
I had some corn tortillas with some beef on them a little bit ago.
They were gone in 45 seconds.
Yeah. Hey, but everything in moderation. Dark side, if you're training 2-3 times a day, you got some big motos, on the agenda.
Yeah.
Have that chocolate chip cookie or whatever in the evening.
Oh, you just screwed up, Mart. You just screwed up.
Give him an inch. He takes a sleeve of Oreos.
But if you go in, if you're 100% committed right now, like, it's only so what I found is like willpower, the human willpower is a finite resource. Like, you will crash and burn eventually. So you have to have some sort of, 90-10, 95-5 sort of thing. Like, if you're 100% in now, it will come up later, burnout, Epstein bar, like whatever, so.
What's been saving me a little bit is on the food chart, the page you sent me, it was something called peanut butter energy balls. And I had to Google that. Mm-hmm. And I made some last week, and I allowed myself like 2 of them a day. And that's like, I look forward to that moment. Those have been doing me good.
Oh, those are my go-to. I freaking love those things.
Yeah, they're a pain in the butt to make, and that's the other thing when it comes to ingredients to eat healthy. That crap is expensive, Mart. Like they kind of got you by the gonads.
Yeah, I mean, well, I look at like you're like investing in your health with your groceries. I mean, sure, you could, maybe go to Walmart and buy all your shit in the frozen food section, but you're probably going to end up on some medications or have freaking arthritic joint pain or something, heart problems, cholesterol problems like later in life. So,
right.
Where you kind of maybe invest a little bit more in your food, like it, maybe it keeps you out of the nursing home and you can remember your name when you're 80. I don't know.
That's good motivation. I like it.
Yeah. I'm on that path, so I probably need to do a little bit of a changing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to ask you something about what we were just talking about, and then we started talking about ice cream, and I started
Did you blank?
Oh yeah, no. I have a listener question. What does he have? Do you have a program for like diabetics or non-insulin dependent people?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay.
No.
How would you? I guess how would you work with someone that was like that?
That's kind of more of a medical condition that we're not really. I guess that's a little above our thing, but I mean, honestly, with diabetes, that's a blood sugar issue, so you would probably have to be a little bit more low carb, I would imagine, and shy away from those high glycemic carbohydrates. So like even like a white potato, you would want to stay away from that, whereas a sweet potato, that takes longer for your body to digest. So that's things like that, you'd have to really be aware of your blood sugar. And so actually there's some really cool technology coming out lately in the last few years. It's not necessarily in motocross, but you're seeing it a lot in like running, cycling, and triathlon, where it's called the CGM, but it's a continuous glucose monitor. And so it's actually FDA approved by, for diabetics, but it gives you like a real time feedback, like every minute as to what your glucose levels are doing. So it's actually been really good. And I could see this becoming more common. Like I've actually seen Justin Barsha wearing one. I've seen Kenny wearing one, and people don't really know what it is, but it's typically on the back of their arm, like their bicep.
I've seen that.
And yeah, I mean, you can, you could see how your body reacts in real time if you're having a banana versus sweet potatoes versus a salad. Like what I found is if you have a salad, you could literally almost, and I know you're not, I probably shouldn't say this around Dark Side, but if you're having salad, like you could almost have that cookie later and you're not going to get the glucose spike like you would if you just had the cookie, no salad.
Oh, interesting. Well, if I'm being honest, I get motivated by challenges like this, so I'm pretty well sticking to all this. Like I haven't got rid of any of my junk food. My junk food drawer is still fully stocked. I just open it and I look at it and I go, all right, one day I'll have one cookie. But yeah, I'm pretty motivated, especially early on, to stay very strict and crush it.
I appreciate the discipline. Keep that going.
I'm going to do my best. Like I didn't think I would ever get used to eating the salad, and I'm already kind of like a week in, like I said, pretty comfortable with it. And I've been trying to eat some strawberries in the morning for the vitamin C, which I don't really love strawberries, but I'm doing it anyway. So, yeah, I'm doing way better than I would have thought. My mom, her mind is blown. She just can't believe that I'm eating some of the stuff I'm eating.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, well, it's all motivation, from Steve busting my balls and, and wanting to impress my coach. I want Amar to be happy with me, Scotty. I don't want to let him down.
Maybe it's time to grow up at 47 years old or however old you are.
48.
48. Yeah. But yeah, maybe it's time. Maybe it's finally there.
Yeah. What about like supplements and vitamins for people that really don't like vegetables? People are always like, oh, they make supplements or vitamins to replace that. But I've always heard that that's really not the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm under the thought that like I still think there's things like in vegetables that we haven't even discovered yet, like, or not necessarily like the vitamins are important, but there's enzymes and probiotics, prebiotics. There's things in there that are good for your health. Like when you have an apple, I feel like there's things in that apple that you just can't quite get, or even just the freshness of it that you could get from a supplement. Not to mention, honestly, like I think you can train your taste buds into actually liking that food eventually. And like, I'd much rather have something like that than just like take pills.
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Like honestly, it was interesting when I first started dating my wife. I hate to even say this, but it was like 17 years ago. So I grew up in a household where like all we ate was just like microwavable stuff, frozen food, and like my taste buds were so used to that. And then like her family had a lot of like natural, like they had a garden in the backyard, they had chickens, so like we had a lot of like natural stuff. And like I'll never forget the first time I went there, I thought the food was so terrible, like so bland.
Yeah.
You know, because I was used to like all this processed shit. And then I actually feel like I kind of trained my taste buds to like healthier foods over time, to where I actually now like that stuff.
Yeah, it is amazing how good processed foods taste, right? Like to me, because that's normally what I have. And when you eat other stuff, like you said, does seem bland. But I hope you're correct that over time, I'll adjust and I'll start like.
I told him he was like, I ate lettuce with olive oil. I was like, dude, throw an almond on there or something, man. Like, you can
I've been putting a little grilled chicken on my salad here too. A little bit of that. Just no seasoning, just a little bit of grilled chicken. That helps.
It is funny how much people have like a stigma with certain things that they eat. Like, you know, people that won't eat certain things because like you just said, like you can willpower yourself into it. I used to could not stand tomatoes. Like, hated tomatoes. Never really was even a big fan of pizza because of the tomato sauce. Mm-hmm. And then I got so tired of like avoiding tomatoes because it's in so many recipes and different stuff, and it's on your sandwich or whatever you get. I got so tired of taking it off all the time that I was like, all right, I'm just gonna leave it on there. And now I've gotten to the point where like I'm like enjoying the tomato that's on my sandwich, and I don't think I would like my sandwich as much without the tomato on there.
Well, texture is also a problem with
me too.
Yeah, so when something's like crunchy, or like I've been eating blueberries too, and like the outer shell or the skin, the skin is just like I'm like ugh, and that has made me not want to eat things over the years. But I'm just forcing myself to push through.
Yeah, so I can relate to that. Like I have a tough time with spinach. I just the texture of spinach in my mouth I hate.
Yeah, it's
but so
just gotta do it. You gotta do it. Let's shift gears one more time before we let you go. I want to, looking back on your career, what are a couple highlights? I'm sure the wins and probably going to some Motocross of Nations, those things are highlights. But what are some other highlights, some moments that stand out in your career that are just like, wow, man, I really got to do that. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I feel like there was a long time, 7 or 8 years as a privateer before I got a factory ride.
Yep.
So I hate to like discount all the privateer years because that's kind of what made the factory rides that great, and I feel like I really didn't take them for granted because I'd grinded for so long to get there. But yeah, like my first year with Star Yamaha, that was just that outdoors, like winning Glen Helen, getting my first overall, getting the red plate into the second round at Thunder Valley, and just kind of being in the championship hunt that whole summer. That was just kind of surreal. And I think a lot of that looking back was like the bike was just unbelievable.
Right.
Like I just remember like being on a privateer bike and like going, like just riding my balls off for like 8.8. And that was like, there's like no way I could ever go any better than that. And then on the Star bike, I'm like qualifying. I think at Thunder Valley, I qualified like 4 seconds faster in one practice. And it was just like, this is too easy.
Yeah, it's really unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy. But no, that year was really special. Getting my first overall win, winning Washougal, and then going to Team USA, representing Team USA over in Italy. That was really cool. Gosh, and even my TLD years were pretty awesome. Just being a part of that Red Bull KTM team, and I think I had like 14 podiums in 2 years with them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think my first outdoor win and going to represent Team USA is for sure probably a highlight in my career.
You guys should have won in 16, man. It still so sucks.
I know. I blame Coop. I bumped him out because like literally
he fell over.
Yeah, and like during that dry spell where it was like I don't know how many years we went without winning a title, but it's like we would have been the team that won if it had been for Coop falling. Well, in that kind of off-camber corner.
Yeah, but also Jason getting landed on. I mean, that really made it almost, that was the horrible moment of the race, and without that you guys would have won. But yeah, Coop, I like the fact that you're blaming it.
But Jason had already won the moto.
That's true.
He was already and like so.
That's right. It was the second moto.
He could have thrown away a moto, so it literally came down to Coop tipping over and losing like 4 or 5 spots.
That's true. Yeah, I like blaming it on Coop. Actually, I like that.
Yeah, I mean Coop knows. He's not. But at the same time, I'll never forget sitting on that podium too in Italy, and like Jason's in the hospital, doesn't know where he's at, and then Cooper's literally wearing sunglasses, and he's like honestly bawling his brains out, and I'm just like, "Fuck yeah, we won!" Podium.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a great answer. All right, we got one more for you. We're gonna let you go.
Hey, Mart, I just wanted to send condolences out to your brother. I honestly didn't even hardly want to bring it up because it just makes me so sad to see how that happened for him. And I know it's been stressful for you guys as a family with, he was in the hospital for an extended period of time and the surgery wasn't taken for the little bit of, I don't know anything about it, but just a little bit I heard. I just wanted to send out, thoughts and prayers to you guys and your family and just update on how he's doing and how he's feeling.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Honestly, it's kind of gnarly how bad it was. Like, not only the crash and the injury, like everybody saw it on TV that watched Hangtown Sekimoto, like it was, like I honestly can only watch it twice. And I watched it the first time live, and then somebody sent it to me on Instagram, so I only watched it because I didn't know what I was watching at first. I mean, it just makes me sick. And yeah, the worst part was he sat in a hospital, and I don't even know if he's updated anybody on his Instagram or anything, but he sat in a hospital. Saturday night, they got him to a place in Sacramento, and it was like a trauma center. And because it was a trauma center, like everybody that was coming in that had like life-threatening injuries or whatever, like that was about to die, got the green light before him. So he was in that hospital for 8 days.
Jeez.
He just got back to Minnesota yesterday. I just saw him for the first time yesterday. And the worst part was like he had compartment syndrome, or they were worried about compartment syndrome in his arm. So like they couldn't, like they did the initial surgery to kind of set his wrist, and then they couldn't close it because there was so much swelling. And then they did another surgery like midweek. It still couldn't close it. And then they finally did a surgery on Monday to get it closed so he could hop on the airplane and fly home.
And he has been through the ringer in his career.
Is it the same arm that he had issues with before?
No, it's his right one.
His right one.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one he broke his left arm in Ironman in that second moto at Ironman.
Yeah, best wishes for him. I know he's got to be dealing with the emotional and mental struggles of what this sport, the peaks and valleys of the sport. And yeah, we hope for the best recovery for him. And Alex, again, man, I appreciate you coming on here and talking to us and having me a part of Troll Training. I'm really enjoying it, and I look forward to seeing what gains I make. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Just make sure or let me know what days you're riding so I can give you a riding schedule.
Okay, yeah, it just changes every week because I never know when I'm going to be doing interviews get added. Like I was going to ride tomorrow morning, but now I've got Blake Wharton, an interview with Blake Wharton. So I'll probably ride tomorrow and Saturday, I think, or maybe I'll let you know. I'll text you or I'll update you on the app.
Okay.
He did just
hit me up and then.
What?
I was going to say you're good. You're good.
Okay. All right, Alex. Hey, thanks, man.
That was my bad.
All right, we'll see you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
All right. That's Alex Martin tonight, brought to you by WUSA. What were you going to say?
I was just saying, you just learned the hard way that 20 minutes on a vet sand track and 20 minutes at a training facility with ruts and 65s going 65 miles an hour is a lot different of a story.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more. I'm waiting to see if Vann answers because he just texted back. But yeah, we were going to try to talk to him right now, but I think he's on the line. So let's do the sponsor read. Our next guest is brought to you by Guts Racing. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seats and foam in the industry for years. For 2023, they have added the Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup, as well as the color teal to their gripper material options available. Also new for 2023 are options for your e-bikes. They have complete seats for the Talaria and the Super 73 and covers for the Segway and Sur-Ron. And they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. So visit gutsracing.com today. Check out the different color options. Get you a seat cover. My riding coach recently, who's brought to you by Guts Racing Night, suggested I get one for the Husky. But tonight, Guts Racing brings us from Texas Tornado MX training facility and former privateer Vann Martin. What's up, Vann?
What up, Dark Side?
What's going on, man? How you doing? You've been out teaching today?
Yep, all day, every day.
All those little 65 little buttholes that were making me look bad the other day?
Well, most of our little bikes left, and they're on the way to Ponca for the regional. So
Okay.
we were a little bit of a slow day. Mostly big bikes though, so that was cool.
I'm sure all those guys would work me too.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Well, we just got off.
They're all fast big bike rivers.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're down at Colin Edwards, Texas Tornado MX facility in Montgomery, Texas. You've been coaching for quite a while now, but last year you had another injury, a back injury in Supercross, and decided to retire. How you feeling about that a year later? You're definitely in the spot you need to be career-wise post-racing, but is there a part of you that, man, I'd sure like to be out there?
Yeah, in a way, but yeah, especially looking at the 450 class right now.
That's common, yeah.
I feel like I could be getting some points possibly, but a lot of hard work goes into that too. So, man, I had a good run. I'm happy with where I'm at and with the way things are going at TTMX. They've just been growing since I got hurt. Really, they've been growing a lot. So I've been putting more effort in that, and man, honestly, I'm just lucky to be walking and moving everything. That's kind of the way I look at it. I don't really hang my head on not being able to ride anymore. I just kind of think about, man, I'm just lucky to be here and walking and not in a wheelchair.
Yeah, walk us through that for those that don't remember. Minneapolis last year in qualifying, what happened?
Man, qualifying was going really good. I was on the board in B practice. I was feeling better each weekend. Like the first Minneapolis was around 6, and the first 5 rounds before, I was getting better each weekend. I was qualifying better, racing better, and man, I came up a little short in a rhythm. I was going 2, 3, 3, and then I clipped it. Not even that bad, but it just kind of high-sided me into the next roller, and just the way I landed, I completely like destroyed my T7. I fractured T6, T7, and T8, but T7 was the one that was just like exploded, and they had to rush me into a surgery the next day to relieve pressure off my spinal cord because I was starting to lose feeling in my feet and my hands, and things got really scary. So they had to rush me into one surgery. It was 12 hours long. They kind of screwed up on that. And then they had to do another one that was only supposed to be 2 hours, but it took 5 hours. And finished product's good. I have 2 rods and 15 screws going from T2 to T10 in my back. So basically, wow. I mean, full back. So I got really, really lucky. Basically, you show any doctor my X-ray, and he would almost guarantee that I'm paralyzed. So I'm just very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's wonderful to hear that you obviously aren't paralyzed. That's pretty obvious. But I think one of the really beneficial things I would have to assume when you're laying in the hospital, knowing that, well, okay, my career racing might be over, but you did have teaching already. You were already coaching, and you had already found a passion for it. So you had something to look forward to, obviously, besides your beautiful wife.
Mm-hmm.
Creep side.
No, I was just saying. I mean, it wasn't about. Shut up. It's just that he has things to be happy, positive about.
All right, Kiefer.
I didn't even mean it like that. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, I was in the hospital bed. Probably figured my career is basically over. Especially after I called my doctor back home, and I kind of thought. I thought I was going to be able to race again, really. And I knew, like, I didn't really want to in a way, though, because I knew that I get really lucky, and I feel like God's given me a lot of signs like that. And this was kind of one that was like, man, like, he gave me a big sign this time.
Yeah.
And my wife was pregnant at the time, too. We were about to have our child, and the way things were growing with coaching, I was kind of like, in a way, it's like, man, it's a bummer I didn't get to make a 450 main. That was like my last goal to check off on my bucket list. But with the way things were going at TTMX, and then Miranda being pregnant and us having our first child, and me being okay for the most part, it wasn't like I was disappointed having to retire earlier than I wanted. I just I wish I had more years in me, but it's just the way things go sometimes, and I can't look back and try to change anything or just hold my head down on things like that. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with where we're at, and we're on the upswing from here.
That's good to hear. And again, for people that maybe didn't know, when you were racing last year and your results weren't what they had been in years past, a lot of that was because you were not getting a lot of time to go and train for Supercross. You were busy coaching kids every day, and you weren't getting a lot of riding in, but still making night shows, but just not getting the results you were used to.
Yeah, it was, I had good prep going into A1, and that's what I knew how my season was going to be. I was going to be training kids during the week and then just flying out on the weekend. So I made sure I put a lot of prep in going into A1, and I was feeling really good on the bike until about 2 weeks before A1. I have a bad knee, and I had this stupid crash, and freaking dude, it was swollen. I could barely walk for almost 2 weeks leading into A1. So I had really good prep going in, and then I banged my knee and had no riding for the last 2 weeks going into A1. So that was kind of tough, but then I was still putting in the night shows, and my knee was getting better, and I was just trying to stay healthy and looking at it like big picture. I was like, man, if people get hurt, injured, and I can stay healthy towards the end of the year, I should definitely be in some mains. And that's not the way the cookie crumbled for me, unfortunately, but that was the goal. I was making progress every weekend, and my knee was getting better. And it was cool because I was coaching kids during the week still at TTMX, and then I would fly out on the weekends, race. The kids would watch me, or watch my name go across in the night show or see me on the start, and then I'd come back during the week, train them, and that's the first thing they asked me, dude, how was the weekend? They were all pumped, like, dude, I saw you in the background in that heat race. And so that was really cool. Just it wasn't the prep I wanted, but it was still a cool feeling to come back and coach these kids every week, like Monday through Wednesday, and then I fly out either Thursday or Friday mornings, and they'd all be cheering for me on the weekends, and just do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, that's gotta be cool. It's you mentioned, God had made you a sign and stuff like that. It's like that pit board. You can't miss that pit board.
Yeah,
you see that one, and sometimes it all works out for a reason.
You may not want to read it, but
yeah, but you're reading that pit board. I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you had Dark Side here with you this weekend. I need a report card, man. Where was what's the what are we giving him as a ranking? How is he doing? What do we need to work on back at the house?
A lot.
He did good. He did really good from where he started to where he ended. I think I told him this, but I think I said C+. Dark Side, right?
Yeah. A couple of kids. I interviewed all the kids, and I'm working on a video for Vital on that. And a couple of them gave me like a B, or I was like, or so I think one of them might have given me an A. And I was like, yeah, you're full of crap. But yeah, I think it was a C+, and that was probably pretty fair.
Yeah, and he did a lot better, dude. He sent the triple step up, which is the biggest jump we have on the track, second lap, which I was super impressed by. He cased the hell out of it, but he still had the ball to go for it on the second lap.
So you didn't mention that part when you told me about that earlier.
I got it after that, though. I did it clean.
Yeah, he got it right after that. The next lap, he greased it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a little bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, but that's a jump that decent C-class kids that almost qualify for Loretta's takes them a couple weeks to hit, and Dark Side sent it on the second lap. So I was like, dude, that's pretty sick.
Jump for show, corner for dough. I got the show. I don't have the. Yeah. Not making any money, but I'll hit the jump. But I went down there last Thursday and Friday to Texas Tornado. The track is a facility that gets very rutted, and it's there's some mimicking of what you'll see at Loretta's and tracks like that, and stuff that Scotty, you and I don't get to ride a lot up here,
that, dude.
And he was definitely. It was eye-opening because, as we were talking about before he got on the phone, I'm here doing on these vet tracks, and I'm doing 4 and 5, 20, 15, 20, 25-minute motos, and I'm fine. And they're doing like a 20. When they gave me the halfway point, I felt like I'd been out there for an hour because it's so different. And It's really cool watching Vann work with these kids, though. You can see the respect they have, and there's kids of all ages, and they're in there in the gym doing their stretching and their training, and they're listening. And most of those kids, all those kids were way more talented than I was. It was very impressive to see what Vann's got going on, and his Hunter, who's helping him out. Yeah, you're doing a great job, man. But talk about the facility, what the goals are, where the facility's at right now as far as what it has facility-wise, and, you know, what you want to see in the future and what the goals are for Texas Tornado.
Yeah, for sure. Right now we've only been going for 2.5 years, and to me that seems like nothing. I know, and it is. We're fairly new. I still consider us fairly new, so we're still growing every day. Right now we have a little tiny corner track. We have an outdoor track that's about 2 minutes for fast riders, and we have 2 flat tracks. One's under the arena, and one's just on our flat track pad where we do big flat track classes and big camps. We have like 30 TTR 125s that we rent out to people, and they come learn how to ride dirt bikes, and we do beginner lessons out there as well. And then we have our hotel, we call it the Saloon, on site, which is really cool. It's got 4 bunk rooms in it that can sleep like 10 people in each room. So we could fit a lot of people in there and a lot of kids. And we have a gym. It's nothing special. We're working on it. After Loretta's, we're trying to make a push and trying to buckle down. And we want to build a supercross track. We know that. As far as where we do it, we're not too sure yet. We had the idea of doing it under the arena, which would be unreal, but that was just kind of a drunken idea, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to be doing supercross. We were trying to get more pros involved, so that's the main goal, especially right now with Hayes, Edwards Collins' son. He's racing B class and doing really well, and next year we plan on doing futures. So he really needs to start riding supercross right now. He's only ridden about 2 or 3 weeks with me on supercross before Anaheim won last year, so he doesn't have much time on supercross. So that after Loretta's, we know we're going to build a supercross track, possibly 2. We don't know yet. The sky's kind of the limit. And
okay.
Yeah, we definitely want to make our gym better. Maybe build some like bay areas or like stalls for like pros to work on their bikes and stuff. And yeah, we have all the housing right there. We can fit a lot of people in the saloon. So sky's kind of the limit from here. We've been going for a couple of years and just making small improvements, and now we're getting to a point where we're like, all right, we want to make a big change now and really clean things up around here. So yeah, we're just gonna keep building from here, and definitely want to accommodate to some pros here in the near future.
Sweet.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's you got to have the supercross track at some point to keep that thing going. So there's been regionally, this is kind of a big deal. We have a lot of listeners from across the world that listen to this that wouldn't know what we're talking about, but a lot of what I remember you from is seeing you out at Swan here in East Texas. And I know you've done a lot of pro challenges and had a lot of races out there. They had new ownership, and I know that they're kind of taking more of that training camp facility kind of approach. And I was wondering if you had any contact with them or had any plans to do any kind of collaboration or work with those guys at all.
No, I actually haven't had any contact with them. I've met the new owners at Oak Hill, and that's pretty cool what they're doing there. They're making a lot of changes there. But yeah, Swan, I've grown up racing since I was, literally like on a 50. And been going the pro challenge there since I was a kid, and raced there 4 or 5 times as a pro and done well there. And it's cool to see what they're doing. I've heard of the changes they're doing. Haven't talked to them, but I know that BJ Burns with the MX University, he was a SoCal dude that used to ride and race, and he's been a mechanic for a bunch of pros. He's been a mechanic for Jeff Emig. He still is a mechanic when he races, and I know BJ's he's made home at Swan, I believe. Okay. So yeah, he's helping out there a lot.
Well, Vann, yeah, it's been good getting you on here. I really enjoyed my 2 days down there. You worked my butt off. Those little kids, even though they kicked my butt, they were all very cool. A lot of fun to hang out with them, and very well-natured kids. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really eye-opening, and I think I'll be trying to come back. Come back like once a month.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, Dark Side. You missed Shorty here all this week. That was super cool to have Shorty there helping us with exercises in the morning and stretching. He taught me a bunch of cool stretches that like Sexton and Lawrence do, and man, just having his insight there, like helping me coach was unbelievable. Like, yeah, it was really cool having Shorty. He comes and drops by on occasion, and he was here all week, so you missed out, Dark Side.
Yeah, I came the wrong week. Was Hudson there too?
Yeah, Hudson was there. He's grinding, get ready for the regional. He's been getting really fast lately.
That's awesome.
He's been going good.
Is he right? He's not riding again already, is he?
Andrew?
Andrew, no. He's crazy story. Do you all know that Andrew got hurt riding with us in our place too?
Oh, was that where was that? Yeah, that's right. I did hear that.
Yeah, morning after Houston Supercross. Yeah,
after Houston Supercross, and it's crazy because he broke the same vertebrae that I broke. Like literally, like he was riding with us. I'm like, Shorty, you want to help instruct? He's like, heck yeah. And then we were doing practice the morning of, and man, he crashed just weird like mine too. Not anything super crazy, just weird the way he landed and broke. It was almost an identical injury as mine. It's unbelievable. He got super, super lucky as well. So
very scary.
We're both like talking about our injuries, and I was like, I was here at this point at this many months. I was kind of starting to do this, and yeah, he's getting around really, really good for how he's still pretty new into that injury. So he's a good dude, great dude.
Absolutely. I was hoping to, I told them I was going to try to come down to their place at some point and ride with Hudson. I need to make that happen too. So, but definitely want to come back to your place. I got to stay in the bunk, Scotty, and yeah, really comfortable, really cool place. And yeah, it looks like an old saloon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really neat setup. I enjoyed it. I've never been to any other training facilities, but Texas Tornado made me comfortable, and I enjoyed it, and definitely got my butt handed to me with workout. I mean, when kids on 65s are ripping you on starts, that was where I was the worst.
I think you had some progress. You had a lot of progress. Yeah, I got some videos I need to send you, by the way, of your starts.
I don't want to see. I don't even want to see that.
You can send them to me.
The last one was good, dude.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
send them to the MotoXpod Show Instagram. That way I can see them.
Yeah, there was a guy out there that was videoing me for a while, and then
he just quit.
Vann was like, "Yeah, he's probably gonna blow you out. He's gonna put it on social."
Yeah.
And I caught the dude afterwards. I was like, "Hey, don't post those, man, unless they're like, let me see them first." He goes, "Oh, I wasn't gonna like make you look bad." And he was kind of going through them, and he was like, "Oh, not that one. Oh, not that one."
Hey, wait, never mind.
Then there was none that could be posted because they were all so bad.
Yeah, I figured he was gonna blow you out for sure.
No, he was cool, so I appreciated him not doing that because yes. I guess I was boner airing, and yeah,
we gotta get the mare wheelies under control. Dark Side.
He's trying to get over that triple step up, man. That was big.
He's old, man. That's how they ride.
Yeah. Vann, thanks for jumping on here, man. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you, and good talking to you.
No problem, buddy. Anytime. Appreciate you having me.
Okay, talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye. Vann Martin tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Yeah, I miss having Vann at the races, man. He, that whole Texas Privateer group, him and Lane was always a lot of fun seeing them at the races, and yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
would you want to go do one of those training facilities?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely am down. I do want to, like, we talked about this last week. I've never have gone through and done a program and actually taking. I've done a lot of riding, but not like anything else.
Yeah.
And dude, like if I went out there right now to something like that, I would probably end up in the hospital. I'd end up with those same vertebrae that him and Ranger Short had. I'm like, so it's crazy what like a lack of a year will do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy like what a year of riding will do. Like it's nuts. Like I'm so behind the 8 ball and all this stuff. Like I'm the most I've ever weighed, even though I'm still I have a very slim build, but I'm definitely the heaviest.
For your size,
and I got like a gut, and I'm not where I need to be, especially trying to get back with riding. But I'm looking forward to getting back on that grind.
Once you get back into it, going down to a training facility like that could be a lot of fun. But you definitely need to get in shape first. Because thank God, if I was where I was a year ago before I started at Vital and started to get to ride and started training, like, I would have never made it.
You're like,
down there.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even. I'm just going home.
It would have
I'm
never
gonna go
worked,
sleep in the bunk bed.
Yeah. We got Michael Lindsay back on the line. Michael, you want to come to Texas Tornado and do some training with Vann Martin and myself?
No, sure, creepy Jamie. I'll come along.
Yeah.
Your wife, dude.
I was just saying, like you have things when you're down in the dumps and you're injured. You have a lovely wife. You know, that's something that you can stay positive.
That's not how you said it, though. That is not how
Yeah,
you said it.
it was the fact you said it and then you just left it at this awkward ending. Like, this is where we leave it. Your beautiful wife, and then just sit there.
Well, whatever. You guys are buttholes.
Yeah.
Dark.
I don't really understand why everybody feels the need to talk crap about me.
Hey, I did like the part you left out because you told me, I hit the triple step up second lap. You left out the part that you chased the hell.
I didn't hear that either, ML.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks very much, Van, for giving us the real insight here.
I honestly didn't realize I didn't tell you guys because I definitely told like TJ and some of my other buddies. Like, I cased the ever-loving crap out of it.
He didn't realize that he left it on purpose.
I think I even told Lewis when we were talking about it because he called me one day when I was down. I said, "Yeah, I like cased." I wasn't embarrassed by it. I mean, it was. Yeah,
See, I usually do. That's funny because I usually do the opposite. I grease it the first time I hit it, and I'm like, okay, I got this, and then the second time I'm right into the face of it. Yeah, that's usually my MO.
I thought I had it. I didn't, but I wasn't embarrassed by it. I was pretty impressed that I jumped it too. I was basically telling myself, you're gonna have to hit this early because you're gonna be tired pretty soon. You're not gonna want to do it. So. Well, ML, we're going to go through some of our segments, and we're going to start with the Luxon MXGP review. So, Luxon, when it comes to triple clamp suspension and chassis parts, there's no comparison. Luxon MX makes the best parts you can buy. Luxon's advanced engineering background and techniques allow them to develop products that are unlike the rest. They're lighter and stronger with optimized stiffness to enhance your riding performance and comfort. LuxonMX.com for all orders of $100 or more, ship free within the continental U.S., and you can save by using promo code MotoXpod. And don't forget, all Luxon products are designed, engineered, and made in the USA. All right, ML, we're going to start with you with the Luxon MXGP review from Germany. A lot of key things in this race. I guess we'll start with Herlings, man. Once again, this is not even the first time he's been injured pretty severely at this race, from what I understand. But yeah, big hit to Herling's series and the series as a whole. That as he was closing in on Prado's points, he is now out for a while.
Yeah, at least was in the announcements, at least 2 rounds, potentially more. So, yeah, really the rate Prado's going, anything can happen still, of course, like what just happened with Jeffrey, but it's pretty hard to see how Prado gets beat. Looks like he will likely wrap up his first MXGP title at 22 years old. Really nobody else is, everybody will have a couple moments here and there against him. It might be cool. We might get to see a couple different winners. Like you'll probably see Sewer pick up another win. Fernandez, if Bever gets in there and gets a win, Glenn Coldenhoff could pick up one before the season's over. Kind of those guys. Because, judging by the way Jorge handles his championships, I don't think he's going to, really, if the race is there and it comes easy to him, good start, good pace, he'll pick up what wins he can. Other than that, he'll probably just continue to win qualifying races and just put together decent rides that come to him the rest of the season, and he will have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and very much like our series, to me, some of the leaders, like Prado's pretty much right now expected to win, but there's a lot of good battles going on in the back. I mean, Sewer came from pretty far back in the second moto and passed a lot of guys. There's a lot of good battles going on in both classes. I mean, Benestat and Adamo, and Lucas Cohen has really stepped up. Conan has stepped up. There's just a lot of adversity in this series, and I guess it's not so much like there's not really one guy just leading all the time, but there's a lot of stuff going on in mid-pack or, top third of this race, the series, that is really exciting. And the cameras in this series seem to catch most of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be interesting, too, for the MXGP classes. It definitely opens up a little bit of a room for guys that kind of need to show something to get right. Like, there's been a lot of talk around, of course, Ferrado. There's a good chance he could get a podium now before the season's over. He already has a lot going for him. He's in conversations for rides that he was not at the beginning of the season. But then you have guys that kind of need something better to happen. Ben Watson does have a deal for next year beta, but he just needs some good races, I think, to get some confidence back. Mitch Evans drastically needs some decent races here to save his MXGP career. Otherwise, he's likely going to be heading back to Australia, and definitely this could work out for him. Paul's Jonas, whenever he's able to return from the thumb injury, like he would be somebody who would really be able to capitalize on this right now and is sadly out. And then who's there? Oh, kind of interesting to see Van Horbeek back filling in at Standing Construct, multi-time MXG runner-up basically in MXGP. For him to come off the couch and perform as well as he did. Right now, Standing Construct says they're not running the next 2 races. Me and Lewis were talking about that. You would think they would have shipped bikes, and maybe Jeremy ends up there. If not, we'll probably see him at Lockett because, Paul's is out for a while, and then I'm not sure how long Bogers is out for.
What about Renault? When does he expect to be back? Do we know?
I thought I'm spacing on what his injury was. I think he's out for the season. I could be wrong, but I think Renault's done for the season. And actually, one other rider I missed that also could quite well capitalize on this, of course, would be Calvin Blandarin.
Okay, yeah.
Some podiums as well. I mean, he has a seat at Van Roy or Van Roy. I don't know how to pronounce the Yamaha team. For my apologies. But I know he's somebody who could be in a conversation, for instance, for Kawasaki. Like I said, the big one is Cowie because it's not sure if Febvre's continuing or not, or if he's retiring. Like I said, Mitch is probably be 1 or 2 seats available there. So again, for some of these guys, there's definitely some options out there. Some guys that could perform and get themselves a new home.
Why would Fevre be ready to retire? Isn't he fairly young? And I mean,
No, he's over 30.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Come on,
dude. You know I'm new to this year. I
thought you would at least. Well, what do you think? I kind of come across. Oh, I thought he was 45.
No, I didn't think he would.
He's 31.
I guess, all right.
I mean, I've always felt like the duration of a career in the MXGP always seemed way longer than it does in the US. Like I feel like you see the same guys forever. You know. Maybe it ends up being about the same.
Yeah, Cairoli for a long time. But what did you take away from the MXGP of Germany? How much of it did you get to watch?
Yeah, I got to watch it. You know, that wreck was unfortunate, and I was thinking of. There's 2 things that I was thinking about. Was one is that track was very interesting because it kind of to me was a little. It kind of after watching Lakewood and then going and watching it, like I saw a lot of similarities, and it was almost
felt the same. And I wonder if that's the case.
It was almost like a hybrid between Lakewood and then what we're going to next week in High Point. Like I kind of got vibes of that track being similar to kind of those 2. So that was kind of cool to see. That was one thing that stood out to me. But it was unfortunate to see Hurlings go down because I was like, all right, it's going to be, can Prado hold him for the rest of the series, and is he going to catch him? That's how I was looking at the series. And last week when we talked to Lewis, it was like we made the point that, you know, Prado can't just rest on his laurels and sit here in second or third and let Hurlings come back and catch him. But now a week later, ML's making the point. That's a valid point of now all he has to do is cruise in second or third, keep getting these extra 10 points in the qualifying race, and then the championship is his. So it's, one little tweak, and then all of a sudden here we are, complete opposite of what we were talking about last week.
You never know in this sport.
Yeah.
MX2. Go ahead.
I was going to say MX2 is the next one because it went from, Jago Gertz being not completely out of this, but pretty much a giant question mark. I think he came back around earlier than a lot of people expected. We expect him to be back at the Indonesia rounds, but he was able to come back. Didn't have a fantastic race. I know he ended up on the ground at some point, but at least was able to salvage points. And now, like 250 class again has been really shaken up. Kyle Wolf is dealing with a minor ankle injury. Did not have a great race. Yago again, hopefully next couple rounds he can get in there. With Simone being gone from earlier this year, Conan having bike problems, like it's opened that up. Like Automo again, like Andrea is definitely in control of this championship, and the way he can win it is semi-similar to what we're talking about with Prado. Like continue to perform well in qualifying races and just put together the races and let them come to you, because everybody else seems to be a little bit up and down. I don't expect, even though Liam got his first win, maybe he'll springboard off that, but I don't expect him to be there every weekend. Benestant hasn't been as consistent. He hasn't really picked up the mantle when Yago went out. Kai will be fast when we get back to Sam, but the thing that plays, Automo's been the most consistent, but the dangerous thing for him is if Yago can get back up to speed in the next 2 or 3 rounds and get in there and start winning is between Conan and Kai and these guys that could potentially get between them and help Yago claw back the points. Because he is, I think 64 points down. I mean, it's a big margin, but there's a lot going on in this class right now. And it's, again, Lewis likes to reference it, is we can keep referencing the Tomac Chase thing now for years. It can take a lot of situations where you're like, yeah, there's no way this can happen. Well,
yes, there is.
You know, between this man named Eli Tomac and Chase Sexton, would you believe it?
Yeah. That's it. I think this MX2 series is going to be exciting all the way to the end, man. I mean, it's been very exciting every round to me that I've watched, and seeing Liam get the win finally, and then like Lucas Conan's reaction when the bike quit, I guess. Like that was
epic.
So dramatic. That felt like something out of a spoof movie when he was like, he was so dramatic with his heartbreak. I was like, oh my God, dude, it blew my mind a little bit. I was laughing, and I should have been hurting for the guy, but I was laughing.
I can't say, like, I've always been pretty impressed with some people's composure. I mean, he was going to go 1-1 on the day. Yeah. I would have probably walked over. I think there was a cardboard banner right there. I would have pulled it off its mount and gone and beat the bike with the cardboard sign. I think that's personally what I would have done.
Okay.
Seeing something there I could have just beat the bike with, that's probably what would have happened if I was an issue.
I felt bad for him, but I was having a hard time not laughing at the same time. So, yeah. Yeah, and then my poor guy, my guy DeWolf, hurt his ankle in qualifying, correct? And then just kind of had to milk.
It on earlier in the week.
Oh, okay,
He came into the round injured.
Gotcha. Okay, but yeah, kind of just had to get through, get a few points, and rode okay for being hurt, but not what I needed out of him because, I think the championship hopes for me and my boy Kai are slipping away.
I mean, same thing though. He's in it. It just depends how much he can. He's got I believe we have a weekend off before the Indo rounds. The Indo rounds aren't ones I would say that would be favorable for him. He'll be more, he's got the 2 Indos and then Lockett. So just needs to limit the damage, I would say, for the next 3 until we get back to some soil he's probably a little bit more comfortable with, and then see if he can, put it together like he did the last round and then try to springboard off that for the championship. But at this point, I will say I think Adamo has to be at least the favorite I have right now, just from a consistency standpoint. Kind of like our 250 class here in America. It's just like a lot of these other guys cannot put together weeks to save their life. And again, Adamo's case, or I keep saying that, Lucas Conan is far enough back, even if Conan just goes on a tear for a while, let him have at it. It's not going to do anything to Andrea's title hopes.
Yeah, I want to say that Lewis said last week that Adamo is kind of the favorite right now. And I thought, again, being very uneducated in this series, I felt Benestant looks better most of the time. But, yeah, that's just kind of what I was feeling. But maybe, I think there's 2 guys who are going to be put on a hell of a show for the rest of the series. Yeah,
I think when Geertz went out, I would have thought that Benestant would have stepped up more, but he's been a little bit more hit and miss than I thought he would be. And as he says, he's been kind of, when they interview him and stuff, he's been talking a little bit more about bike struggles.
Okay,
Adamo, of course, hasn't been with this level of support. So I don't know if it's the KTM structure in GPs just knows how to win titles. Yeah, here in the U.S., the 250 team barely can, they've gone only a handful of titles in 20 years. You go and look at GPs, and they've won almost everything in the 250 class. Only occasionally has Yamaha beat them. I think Andrea's just really benefiting right now from that team structure, from the people that are there, the consistency of that program. I think he's really got everything going for him. In a sense, we'll see how, of course, the weight of the red plate carries. I mean, as far as Kai had an injury during the week, but look, Kai made it 1 week with it.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't make it long, man. I had my hopes up. I blew my line last.
You didn't blow me.
No, I didn't blow you. I blew.
Whoa! I don't even want to know where.
Wow, I feel like he was disappointed by that. But no, I had a line. I told Lewis this that I meant to use last week when we were talking about the GP and Kai got his win. I was going to say, I always say that the MXGP the season starts at Latvia, just as a joke because I never really watch it. But then it fell apart anyway. So
yeah.
You had a question.
I will say,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the last one. I talked about a little bit. Wheeler and of course Lewis do a really great MXGP podcast for us. I haven't quite finished it, but I mean, to their point, Liam Everts winning, fantastic story wise, because I feel for that kid. Like, he gets off and first comment he makes is, okay, one down, 100 to go, because of I mean, his dad's weight and pressure, and even his grandpa. Like, yeah, there are riders in the sport that have fathers that have been successful, but nothing like the pressure and weight that Liam has to have on him with that name on him, and what people expect of him based on, like I said, not only his dad's results. For people that don't know, his grandfather Harry, as well as a multi-time world champion back from the earliest days of MXGP. So a lot riding on him. For him to win, regardless of what happens here out now, I think he's done good by his family's name, and hopefully that doesn't weigh on him any longer, and he can be his own man, per se.
Yeah, he definitely mentioned that on the podium right at the end in the post-race interview, and he didn't seem as excited as I would have expected out of him, and maybe that's just personality, but he touched on that, and I was kind of like, wow, yeah, it did feel like there had been some pressure on him for that, so it's good that you brought that up. Scott,
his whole life, since that kid touched a P-dub, there's been eyes on him and pressure on him. Like I said, more so than I'd have to say more so than probably almost anybody that's raced. Again, feel for the kid because of that. I think he's probably had more expectations placed on him. AC, certain people did because they dominated as amateur. He never did, but it was just the family name. Like, I felt bad. It wasn't, is this kid going to be great? It's like, is this kid even capable of winning again with what his family's lineage is?
Right. Scotty, we got a super question or something from the chat?
So we had shout out to a couple of our listeners. First one was a Sport and Wood, gave $9.99 for, he said, for my Sonic trip tonight. We were, during the troll train, we were talking about diet and stuff.
Yeah, you have to get ML to send that to you.
Yeah, just throw it on my tab, no big deal. And then the second one was we had JJ9449 had he donated as well. He had a question about tracks. He said, with the crew, who does the track work and prep at the Nationals? Are they the same crew for every National? I heard it was Dirt Diggers, or do they just work together, or do they just work Hangtown? I thought it was always a lot of times it's the track themselves that do it, just because of the knowledge that they have of the facility and the way the dirt works.
Yeah, it's a different crew every weekend. There are a couple guys that might cross over that get hired out to help, but yeah, basically the promoters that run the Nationals are in charge of their track prep crew.
Yeah, I could just see like a crew like Dirt Diggers coming into John Martin's track, and you'd be like, whoa, no, off the hill.
Nobody touches Martin Hill.
Yeah, that's a weird one, because I think people hear Dirt Diggers and Dirt Works. Dirt Diggers is just like the group that puts on Hangtown. They don't go around other ones. It's not like Supercross where Beld actually hires out Dirtworks to do all the track design and prep and build and everything like that. Yeah, Nationals. I have seen a couple people cross over. There's been certain people in the past have been hired by one or two facilities a year to maybe help out with some prep and track layout stuff, but for the vast majority of them, they all kind of just do their own thing.
Is it the same process in the GPs?
That would be a better question for Lewis.
Okay.
I imagine that it's up to the promoters, but I'm wondering with the flyways and some of the stuff, there has to be certain standards upheld where they travel to a lot more weird locations and you have some one-off, like, man-built tracks. I think there might be some staff. Yeah, this would be a Lewis one. I would have to guess maybe a little more than Nationals. Somebody's got to be involved, but I still think it's local crew for the most part.
All right. Well, we're going to move on then to the Motul emails. Founded in 1853, Motul is a 170-year-old company that is present in over 160 countries globally, offering exclusive technologies in their patented Ester Core technology for your machine. Tonight's featured product is the Motul Shine and Go. This thing gives the Motul Shine and Go gives your ride its shine back. The Motul E10 Shine and Go spray is our go-to detailer for all of our bikes. Motul E10 Shine and Go spray cleans and restores plastic to like new conditions while leaving a protective film that repels dirt and grime. It smells like citrus, which is almost as cool as your garage smelling like race gas. You can find this in the entire Motul Power Sports product lineup at shopmotul.com, or even ask your local dealership for Motul. If you go to shopmotul.com, use promo code VITAL20 to receive 20% off your order of $50 or more. Motul. That stuff's good. I got some of that at the shop.
You're gonna have to be careful if it smells like oranges. You're gonna all of a sudden start getting cravings and stuff. You'll have to break your diet.
I might be using that for breakfast. Spray it instead of like Pam on my cookie sheet. Yeah, spray some Motul Shine and Go, and then
that should do it. That should clear the system out real good.
Okay, I've got a couple emails here that I want to ask you guys about. Tim says, "What's a moment you guys have lost your shit at a race?" Scotty, have you ever had a race where you just or even just riding and you came unglued?
Yeah. One time it was my first big bike novice race, and it was like full gate, like 42 people.
Yep.
And I was like mid pack, and some kid went down in front of me, and like I just got stuck over in a rut, and it like completely crushed I had a 125, and it just like flattened my pipe like a pancake. And I was so mad. It was like my first big bike race.
Yeah.
And I was pissed, and my dad saw that I never came around, and he walked over and he was helping me I was like, I think it was 15, 16, and I was just cussing like, oh, MF for this, SOB that, and my dad finally was like, all right, enough cuss words. I let you get one or two. It's like, just shut up, get over it. Like, yeah, like it happens.
Okay.
But yeah, that was, and maybe one other time, novice class days for sure, like getting somebody jumping over, cross-rutting you and hitting you, and then a couple of hand gestures and screaming. But
throat
yeah,
slits.
nothing too crazy though.
What about you, ML?
It cut out. I didn't catch what you said.
You didn't hear the question?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah. So Tim wants to know: have you had a moment where you've lost your shit at a race?
I've had moments my dad lost his shit on me. Right?
Well, all right, give us one of those then.
Ooh. A couple of wrench throwing moments.
There was flying wrenches. I've been left at a race before. Great time.
You got left? What?
How old were you?
Oh, well, I think the one I got left at was like maybe I was 15 or 16.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good times. I'm trying to think if I lost my shit at one race because I had a lemon bike that continued to have continuous electrical problems. And I freaked out after I whole shot and led a bit of 458 a works race at Racetown, and then decided to just cut out going down and wash over and over. We've been having problems with it nonstop. So lost it on a bike, definitely. Came in the pits and lost like Phil Stan was just screaming about my bike. But no, other than that, no freaking out. Maybe some crying here and there, but that's about it.
Yeah. I can think of a couple just small ones. Mosier Valley's old night track in Dallas Fort Worth area. We parked. It was sort of the hill was on, the parking was like on a hill a little bit, and I had a couple crashes, and I was moving towards the front. I kept crashing, so it was on me, and I was really pissed when I came off. I threw my helmet, and it rolled down the hill, and it was nighttime, so it was really hard to find. So yeah, I threw a helmet probably more than once actually. And then Steve Williamson, who's been in studio a couple times, he and I used to race the same class a lot and battle, and we would take each other out quite often, and we'd have to go back to the same truck that we rode home in and just be yelling and cussing at each other and not want to talk for like an hour. So we've had a couple almost fights because one of us, we could not stand to be beaten by the other. So yeah, I've lost my shit on him once or twice, but nothing too exciting. All right, here's another one. ML, you might want to bow out of this one. Me too, honestly. But Scotty, what are your thoughts on being in a relationship with someone who isn't into the sport? They don't want to watch the races with you, and they don't go and watch you ride.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, my fiance, she'll come with me to the races. I
have seen her at Swan. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can get her to go. Actually, I can get her more likely to go do something like that with me, where like she's supporting me and like I'm, and she's there helping me more than I can just to like get her to go hang out with my friends at the lake and stuff.
Okay.
So honestly, it's kind of hard for me to answer that, but
just ask like, okay. So my thoughts on it, I've been in both positions, but I guess my response to the guy would be like, if motocross is something you're very, very passionate about and it's important in your life, like it is ours, you kind of want the person you're in a relationship with to at least pretend to share that. And you would have to do the same, reciprocate by being interested in whatever she's interested in.
Yeah.
But if you're involved with somebody that's going to be a long-term relationship, this is like Kiefer After Dark shit
Mm-hmm.
now, I guess. I don't think it's very healthy to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't support your passion.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to watch the races on Saturday night or whatever, but when you go race, if she doesn't want to be there, that's a problem in my eyes.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm fortunate, is because she'll, she doesn't really like social situations. She's not big on like
my
big
ex
groups
was
of
that
people.
way too.
Yeah, and so the fact that she comes out there and supports me, even though it's something that she doesn't really like want to do, but the fact that she has the respect to come out there and watch me race and support me, like that means a lot. So yeah, I think
you should probably marry her.
Well, we were engaged, so we're working on it.
ML, any thoughts?
We'll get there when it's time.
Yeah.
We'll marry her when it's time.
Any thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out.
All right.
Like, everything else could be 10 out of 10 if she wants nothing to do with a dirt bike or go to a race with me, or even like go to race if I'm racing. I'm out. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, just I
there it's not fun.
Right.
For me.
I would agree.
In the chat wanted to know if Jamie has ever creeped on Scotty's check. Have you told her she's beautiful and then just stood there and not said anything?
No, he more just talks shit about me.
Yeah,
in front of
yeah,
her.
yeah.
He just uses her as a lightning rod for that.
Yeah, I don't know her very well, so I can't really.
Yeah, dude, she's super quiet. So
yeah, I don't generally like the people. If I say like Miranda Martin, Vann's wife, like I know her, so if I say, hey, she's, I know her. Like I know she's not going to be weirded out. I'm not as creepy as you guys make me out to be. I just try to be dark. Shut up. Okay.
You're the After Dark.
X-Brand Forum check-in. X-Brand has quietly grown into one of the premier goggle choices available, used by many of the riders in the GNCC series, as like Bryson Neal, Lyndon Snodgrass, Craig DeLong, many others. Xbrand.com. Check out what they have to offer, and then go to your local dealership and ask for X-Brand, distributed through WPS. Okay, so tonight's X-Brand Forum check-in is a forum post titled Embarrassing Factory Riders, posted by Phil G. And it says, Harlan and Masterpool making some factory guys look very, very overpaid. Props to them both. And let's not forget Masterpool was dead last in Moto 1. He is worth every penny they are paying AC and Webb. Little drastic, Scotty.
Yeah.
It's only one race. I know ML touched on this a little bit, this whole topic. I think they talked about it in the post-race show. But, guys, okay, you're over analyzing this, I think, with only one race to look at. And Masterpool has had some opportunities, and they haven't really worked out. So, yeah, and then you can't really talk shit on guys like AP, who almost won a Supercross race and is at the elite level, all based off one race. But, yeah Scotty, thoughts?
Exactly. I mean, like, you take a race instance just this weekend. Yeah, it can be, if you ask Cooper or you ask AC or even AP, like, what do you think about that? They're like, oh yeah, didn't like that. But at the same time, like the reason that those guys are in that position is because of the tenure and the career that they've built. Like AC's won championships, Cooper's won multiple championships, AP's won championships. They've been winning their whole careers. And, AC is going through some stuff with his shoulder. He's on a slow grind, trying to compare him to one race that he should be embarrassed and lose his ride. He's working on something bigger than that. And a lot of these guys are trying to, shake some rust off. Cooper hasn't done a national series in 2 or 3 years. And everybody can have a one-off good race. Now, if he keeps doing that, if he keeps doing that continuously, then, I think maybe that track had a lot to do with it personally. Now, if he continues to do that, then yeah, maybe he should get an opportunity and should have some contracts being negotiated next year. But like you said, he had some of those opportunities that hadn't worked out in the past. But no, you can't just like fire AC and Cooper Webb.
Hopefully that's not what he meant. But,
yeah,
but then, Michael, the other thing is, okay, the pay that Aaron Plessinger's getting and Cooper Webb's getting and Dylan Ferrandis is getting also includes being very successful at Supercross. We got to take that into account too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I always, like, I've had this conversation with Cody and a couple of people. There's always the one or two guys every year outdoors that impress. It's the summer of Bell. It's the summer of Rob Bell. It's the summer of Shock. It's the summer of Gavin Graysick. It's the summer of Grant Harlan. And not to say, Master Harlan, but to give you an example, like a lot of those guys, yeah, there is a good summer, as we see. and I feel bad because Cody's one of them. It's been 2 years of straight injuries for Cody afterwards, not really able to capitalize on that summer. Same with Rod Bell. Miller was there for a long time. Miller had a really good summer years ago and finally sort of got it back together this year in Supercross. The kind of guys we're talking about, your AC, your plus injury, these are guys that won 250 titles, have 450 wins to their credit. They have, race inside the podium. They are marketable. There's a lot to why they're paid what they're paid, and they do it week in and week out. And then the biggest one like that you saw on top of it is Supercross. Don't get me wrong, what Ty and Grant are doing is amazing right now. It is outdoors. It is a depleted field. And these guys mostly get paid off their Supercross talents. I watched Ty ride 250 Supercross earlier this year on Bar X, and he scared the living piss out of me at Anaheim. He almost died like 6 times in one lap. And actually, Grant, I thought Grant horrible. I remember telling Grant on your show personally, I said he would not make a 450 main for half the season. Oh boy, was I wrong.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of reasons why these guys pay what they're paid. To do it once or twice is cool. These guys will all have to back it up. There's guys that have their summer. Like I would think of like one of the last guys that really kind of went from that privateer step and made it happen. Pike. Weston had to do it and then back it up. Because even when Cody did the one summer, I remember we were closing up trying to talk to some other big teams. Like if anybody had a spot for him, wanted to give him a shot, and everybody was like, yeah, it's cool what he did. Can he do it a second time? Can he do it again next year, maybe just like 2 or 3% better? Like everybody was just kind of curious if it was going to be one of those cases. So yeah, Ty's a weird one to match into this because we all know. I talk about Lewis, like it doesn't shock me what Ty did based on what he did in 250. Does not shock me. His ability on a motorcycle, his fitness, mental strength, all that stuff. Him as on the bike is the complete package in a sense. Outdoors, so nothing he's doing shocking me. There's just all the question marks related to dealing with him, dealing with his family, and his Supercross skills. So the reason why he is where he is.
Agreed. 2 more segments before we wrap this thing up. We'll go to the.
I was going to say one last thing. You always hear it in the sport. We can work with speed. If people identify that the person really is fast enough, even if there's a lot of other negatives, they'll usually figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's why some of these guys hang on to a ride for so long. We can work with speed.
Yep.
I identify as fast.
If these guys,
you can't call me slow now. That's going to offend me. Don't trigger me.
I don't believe in all this PC stuff, so I can.
Yeah. So no, all these guys, they're doing amazing things. It'll be good for them for their career, but I think it'll show at the end of the year is what people weigh of what they think they can do forward. Their marketability, a lot of things. I think Harlan's on a really good track personally.
Yep.
Like I said, we all know Ty has the speed. There's just other things that need to be figured out between him and teams if he'll get that kind of home again. Grant, potentially, like I said, he's kind of on his way, especially because he showed on a 450 Supercross some decent skills. Like maybe it would take another year, but maybe Grant could be that Weston Pike-ish with another really good year under his belt. But it's going to take a lot. Like I think a lot of people forget how impressive Weston was as a privateer in Supercross against a field of like 15 dudes that all won 250 Supercross championships. He was like top 10 all the time early on. So
yes, he was. Yeah, and I think Ty's got a little ways to go before he gets there. So yeah, chill down just a little bit, Phil G. We'll see what happens by the end of the season. But it gave us a good talking point. Pro X is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road, supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Ampro Yamaha, and SLR Honda. Pro X has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. From complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance like filters, chains, and sprockets, Pro X aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. So find Pro X at your local dealer or online retailer and visit prox-usa.com to search parts for your bike and follow Pro X Racing on social media. Pro X, highs and lows. We're going to start with one of our listeners who emailed some in. Once again, Shane Bagley, who's been very involved with sending emails and stuff. We appreciate that, Shane. MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Scotty, his high is finally at High Point this week. I'll be there with my son. Looking forward to this weekend. First time at High Point. Hell yeah. Have a good time, Shane. Go find Michael Lindsay and ask him a bunch of questions. His low is first turn pileups. Nothing worse than watching bodies fly. Think for Ferris broken arm.
that was
nasty. Seems these pileups are happening more often than I remember. Thanks, Shane, for your Pro X highs and lows. Michael Lindsay, I'm going to go to you next. Give me your high from this weekend. It could be GP, could be outdoors, or it could be something in life. I don't care.
I had my low ready. I did not have my high ready. Damn.
Negative.
Well,
glass
give me your low then.
Glass half empty, huh?
My low is Glenn Ferris getting injured. Of all the injuries, super bummed for him. Just because, fact is, off of the storyline we saw with him last year, I was really curious to see how he was going to do for a full summer, and just kind of where he's at with his injury, trying to figure out what he's doing next year. So super bummed on that one. On the high side of things, it's already looking to next week with the fact that we know Ken Roczen is coming racing.
Good one. Yeah, good one. I like it. Scotty?
My high is going to be AP finally getting the second that he has deserved this whole season so far.
Okay.
Getting that overall second. He's second overall. Yeah, that's what he got. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So getting that. That's my high. And then the low is the MXGP becoming a kind of a one man show. Like, not really one man show, but like somewhere somebody can. It's going to be hard for somebody else to win the title, because I was like, all right, well, the MX title is kind of it's going to be kind of one person, at least the MXGP is going to be kind of a fight. So
I'm not ready to say it is yet, but I know where you're coming from. My high was Masterpool, and then even Shimoda. I think Shimoda had a really great ride coming from 14th on the first lap to third. And my low injuries, Hurleans and Kaida Wolf both pretty well bummed me out. So there's my Pro X highs and lows. Again, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. Send us your entries to this, man. Get involved. Your 60 picks. Anything else you want us to talk about? The emails, that's a lot of fun to get into these, even if they're off moto topic. I really enjoy that. I think it's a lot of fun. Let's roll into the 6D picks for High Point. 6D, since its inception almost 12 years ago, 6D Helmets has been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. From the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2, the goal was to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market and improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmet. The helmet is the most important piece of protective equipment you will purchase, so visit 6dhelmets.com or go to your local dealership and ask for 6D. And if you haven't ever tried a 6D on, they are super, super comfortable. These things fit. Like, there's no real hot spots or pressure points, ML, at least for me, or Scotty, for me. I don't know if you've ever worn one, but just a very, very comfortable helmet, a lot of airflow. You get what you pay for a lot of times. And with 6D, I agree. It's one of the best helmets I've ever worn. So 6D picks, ML, go to you first. Who's your 450 picks for High Point?
Little known rider, named Jet Lawrence. I know it's a shocker, but I think he can win it.
Your luck's going to run out eventually, man. If you just keep picking the same guy, it's just going to run out eventually.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going for that perfect season. Second, we'll go with Aaron Plessinger. Third, Ken Roczen.
Oh, okay, Kenny. Yeah, I actually made my picks earlier in the week before I even realized Kenny was coming back, but I'm going to stick with mine.
You have the ability to change one. It's not like you.
I do. I do, but I'm going to stick with my picks.
We're from Texas. We don't change nothing.
Scotty. But before we go to you next.
I don't know if you know this. It's your show. I mean, I think it still is. Unless is it Scotty's show now? I don't know.
The way the chat was going, it kind of seemed that way, didn't it?
It's going to be Scotty's.
Yeah, they were revolting. They were revolting against Jamie. I think he was a little too creepy a few times this show.
I was about to give you props. I guess I'll still give you props, Scotty.
Hey, I'm just saying what the live chat said.
Last week, your picks were Jet Lawrence, Aaron Plessinger, Cooper Webb. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You finally got it right. What are your picks for High Point?
Well, I was going to pick the same thing ML was, honestly.
Well, you can.
All right, yeah. What ML said.
Okay, same as ML's. All right, mine are going to be Jet, AP, and I'm going to go Dylan. I'm just waiting for Dylan to turn around.
Yeah, I feel like a High Point. That's a good pick, because High Point is kind of a GP-ish track, and I feel like he'll do good there.
I hope so. Well, I want to thank Vann Martin, Alex Martin, Garrett Marchbanks, you, Scotty Thompson, you, Michael Lindsay, for another great episode of the MotoXpod show, presented by Race Tech and Boyesen. And I was
just going to say, JJ gave us another $9.99 and said that they just props on the show, and like having ML and Lewis on adds a lot, and just the progress. He said he was here for it, and
awesome.
So yeah,
thank you for that.
Thanks for the support.
This man gets a question every week. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
From now on.
I also want to thank ProX, X Brand Goggles, Guts Racing, FXR, 60 Helmets, Luxon, Motul, and WUSA. All bringing this episode of the show. We will be back next week after High Point with another great show. Again, MotoXpod show at gmail.com for all your input. Thanks, boys. We're out.